We are Black Horse. We are Wisconsin.
Welcome to beautiful Miller Park in Milwaukee. Interleague baseball continues, and the clash tonight brings the Oakland A's back into the city of Milwaukee. The Brewers trying to even up the series against the A's, who took Game 1 10-2 on Monday night. So the Brewers looking to get back in the win column tonight. They continue to adjust their lineup. Juan Francisco set to make his Brewer debut, acquired in a trade yesterday from the Braves, and Scooter GENNETT poised to make his first major league start over at second base tonight. Hi, everybody. Alongside Davey Nelson, I'm Craig Kashan. Welcome as we continue our coverage of Brewers baseball here on Fox Sports Wisconsin. And tonight with GENNETT starting over at second base, Davey, it officially kicks off the new platoon system, at least for a short period of time. The Brewers will be looking at over at second base with Ricky Weeks and GENNETT.
Well, that's right. And I think one of the things that's happening is that this platoon system with Ricky starting to swing the bat better, hopefully it'll become very productive. And the one thing, though, it'll take care of itself. I've always told that to happen in a platoon situation. One player or the other will either take over that position because they will do better than the other. You'd never see it going the whole rest of the year as a platoon.
Of course, Weeks had the big offensive light last night. He will watch from the bench tonight. Scooter GENNETT, his AAA numbers at Nashville, .297. He's the guy that's going to hit some singles and get on base. And he's going to bat from that number 8 spot tonight. More on that coming up. Also, tonight's starter Kyle Loach looking for only his second win as a Brewer, his first since April 22nd. Being Rock breakdown, starting pitching when we come back to Miller Park. Save big money on all your home improvement needs at Menards. By Miller Lite, it's not just a good time, it's Miller time. And by Toyota, let's go places. Here to take you the rest of the way tonight are game announcers Brian Anderson and Bill Schroeder, guys.
All right, thanks a lot, Craig. And there is Kyle Loesch. His pregame preparations are over, and he is back on the mound tonight for the Milwaukee Brewers. And hi, everybody. We welcome you back from Miller Park alongside Bill Schroeder. I'm Brian Anderson, and yes, it is Kyle Loesch, and he was the big pickup this offseason for Milwaukee. And he is symbolic of a starting rotation rock that has really struggled so far this year. So the Brewers in desperate need of a big start from him tonight.
Yeah, he's 1-6, but you got to look a little bit deeper. When you look back on April, remember he didn't have any spring training, made one appearance down in Arizona. He really pitched well in the month of April. Unfortunately, he didn't get a lot of run support, a 1-2 record. And then May came around, and I think the frustration really started to show for Kyle Loesch, maybe trying to do a little bit too much, giving up some runs. And his last start, he had 10 days off. He showed a lot of rust in that start. He just got to relax and start pitching like he did a year ago, and I think he'll be fine.
Now Loesch will match up against a team that is right on the heels of the Texas Rangers in the American League West. The Oakland A's, they're 11 games over. We got the lineups and the first pitch coming up next from Miller Park. Out onto the field at Miller Park, decked out in the home whites tonight. And Scooter GENNETT making his first ever start in the big leagues. He's at second base. Juan Francisco is in there as well, another newcomer for the Brewers. He's over at first. And there is Bob Melvin. He has his Oakland Athletics rolling right now. The A's at 35-24. They have won 4 in a row, and they've won 15 of their last 17 ball games. And are clipping at the heels of the first place Texas Rangers. They're just a game and a half back. Bob Melvin's lineup today brought to you by Piggly Wiggly. It's Coco Crisp, John Jaso, Yoenis Cespedes at the top of the order. In the middle, it goes Jed Lowry, Josh Donaldson, and Josh Reddick. And then Brandon Moss, Eric Sogard, and A.J. Griffin rounded out. Exact same first 8 for Bob Melvin. And why change it? Kyle Loesch, he's making start number 11 after a very rough month of May.
Yeah, it backs up what we were talking about when we came on the air tonight. 1-2, and remember, Loesch was pitching well back in April, but the Brewers did not score a run in his 2 losses. I think he showed a little bit of frustration and has been bitten by the big inning as of late. The Menards Brewers defense. Scooter GENNETT makes his major league debut as a starter at second base, and Juan Francisco gets a start at first base. First time in his career, the 5th different first basemen making their debut at first base for the Brewers this year.
That's amazing, right? I mean, the Brewers have had a revolving door at first base this season. Next up, Francisco. Craig Gibson will call the balls and strikes. The crew chief is Jerry Lane. He's joined on the bases by Hunter Wendelstedt and Alan Porter. So that sets the stage for game 2 of this 3-game series with the Athletics. Oakland winning yesterday and handily, a 10-2 final score. Coco Crisp hit the second pitch of the ball game into the bleachers in right field, and the Brewers know they must contain Coco Crisp at the top of that batting order. Loesch's first pitch is in there for a strike, and away we go. He's had a season high for hits yesterday with 19. Living up to their nickname, the Swingin' A's, as Loesch deals strike 2, and he's quickly ahead of Coco Crisp. Crisp with 6 home runs for the season, 22 driven in after his home run yesterday. Had his second leadoff home run of the season last night, and it was the 10th in his career. 0-2 pitch slash foul. Now Oakland, a very good ball club, Rock. This is a team that won the division last year, and they got off to a very slow start last season. Bob Melvin has been given a lot of credit for the A's turnaround last season to win the division and the way they have played this year, and rightly so. He is a very steady-handed manager as Chris drives one into left field for a base hit.
Yeah, when you look at the numbers, overall numbers for the A's, I mean, nothing really pops out at you, but they have been playing as a team and scoring enough runs to back up a pretty good pitching staff.
And to your point, Rock, here are the players that have played first base for the Brewers this season. Betancourt, Gonzalez, and Juan Francisco, all making their major league debuts at first base. Maldonado and Blake Lally, a catcher slash first baseman down in AAA, who got a few innings there as well, as Chris takes off on the first pitch, steals second base easily.
Boy, he had about 5 or 6 steps before Loesch even went to home plate. Check it out. I mean, talk about just kind of taking liberties, not even having to slide, and Kyle forgot all about him at first base.
Crisp, one of the great base stealers in the game, as Jaso pulls one to the right side, and that will advance Crisp and the first out of the ball game.
And you talk about, you know, what the A's do very well. You just saw it right there. You get a base hit, a stolen base, and Jaso able to get him to third base with less than 2 outs. Those are the types of things that the A's have been doing well pretty much all year.
Mike Gallego and Coco Crisp having a chat. Runner at third with 1 out for Yoenis Cespedes. And the big bat in this lineup, Josh Donaldson, has been their best hitter, their most consistent hitter this year, but Cespedes, most feel, as he goes, the A's go. And he launches one deep left center field. That ball is way out of here. Wow. Yoenis Cespedes with a 2-run home run. And this night begins like so many other nights for the Brewers starting pitching.
That fastball right down the middle. Cespedes is not about to let it go by. First pitch fastball, and he knocks it out of here. And the A's pick up right where they left off last night. Check it out. 2-seam fastball up, out over the plate, and Cespedes gives it a pretty good ride out there in left center. Second deck.
Oh, what a great player he has turned out to be. He's hitting for a low batting average this year, but he's starting to come on as of late, and he is now with 10 homers and 32 runs batted in. So a 2 spot in the first, and the Brewers once again will have to play from behind as Jed Lowry bats with 1 away. Now the big questions with Kyle Loesch. How is his elbow holding up? He had to miss a start because of a bulky elbow. He said it was just a little soreness, something that can turn into an injury if he doesn't monitor it, but that's why he took a few days off. As Lowry bangs one into right field, a base hit, And the A's are picking up right where they left off last night.
Yep, change up and getting a little bit too much of the plate and up in the zone, and Lowry, hooks it out there into right field. Well, these guys are swinging the bats. Already 3 hits, and we're in the first inning. Kyle Lohse in the month of May has been susceptible to the big inning. His last start against the Twins gave up a 4-run 4th inning.
Now the Brewers are near the top of the league in big innings allowed, whether it be 5-run innings, 6-run innings. They're 3rd in both categories. Only the Astros and the San Francisco Giants have given up more big innings. Josh Donaldson, a .321 hitter coming into play tonight, has 8 homers, 35 driven in. Donaldson is playing like an all-star and hoping to play his way to Citi Field in New York. Probably not a guy that's going to get a lot of votes from the fans, but certainly American League managers and opposing managers are taking notice quickly. And we saw last night Donaldson, a very good third baseman. Scott Sizemore blew out his knee in spring training of last season, and Donaldson got the chance. He became the third baseman. He was up and down 3 times last year, but he settled in his last tour, and he was a big part of their success, their division championship.
And one of 3 hitters in that A's lineup hitting over 300. And the thing about this A's lineup, I mean, up and down, they're going to make you throw strikes. I mean, if you're hoping that you're going to chase in the zone, particularly before they have 2 strikes, good luck to you. Very disciplined approach. They lead all of baseball in walks. So you've got to throw strikes, and you have to make quality strikes.
Now the A's are tops in the big leagues in walks. They lead the American League in doubles. They also lead the American League in hit by pitches. And they're 3rd in the AL in team on base percentage. So as a group this year, their on base percentage is .336. That's a heavy hitting league in the American League, and the A's are right there with some of the best in the business. Everybody talks about their great pitching, and rightly so, and that's what took the A's to the division title last year. But it has been their offense that has made some of the headlines this season. 2-2, and Donaldson whistles one foul. Donaldson was a catcher in college, caught and played third base at Auburn. He's turned out to be a very good major league third baseman, above average defender.
I guess if you catch, anything else is going to be fairly easy to you, right?
I was thinking the same thing. You know, catchers just not only make great ball players, but just make great people.
Right. You're right.
2-2 pitch.
Speaking of great people, I had a nice long chat with Ray Fosse today down on the field.
Former Brewer.
What a fine gentleman he is, and one heck of a catcher back in his day.
Yep. He finished his career in Milwaukee, as a matter of fact. And Ray Fosse was part of that 1969 Seattle Pilots team, and of course they came to Milwaukee in '70, and that was the end of his playing days. Good man. Bouncing ball. Segura bobbles, and the throw to first is in time. So instead of a double play that could have gotten the Brewers out of the inning, just 1 out, and the inning is extended here in the first. So no error, but certainly a play that Segura would tell you he should make.
Yeah, probably a double play ball if he didn't bobble it, but he did the right thing. You go to first base, at least you get an out.
Juan Francisco getting his first chance. He hasn't played a whole lot of first base. He's never played in the big leagues.
Gloves looks a little small on him. Did you notice that?
Yeah, so does the uniform.
Barely any of his hand is in that glove.
That looks a lot like Martin Maldonado's glove. Not sure if that's the same one, but
look how much of his hand is sticking out.
Some meat hooks. Francisco did play first base in the Dominican Winter League this offseason, so he hasn't had a whole lot of time there, but he's comfortable over there. He's a good third baseman. Has a strong throwing arm.
Offensively with a lot of power. Only 25 years old.
Crazy tools, but he comes with a reputation that has bounced him from Cincinnati to Atlanta. Got designated for assignment with the Braves, and a reputation that he wants to hit the long ball and the long ball only. And we'll see if the Brewers can try to get him into a better groove at the plate. He can hit him as far as anyone, no doubt about that. We've seen it. There's a swing and a miss, and it goes to 2-2. Josh Reddick. And the Vulcan grip of Kyle Loesch.
And that's where he wants it, down there. You know, he's been leaving him upstairs in this inning.
2-2 pitch, and Reddick bounces one towards second. Scooter GENNETT, his first try, no problem. Welcome to the big league, Scooter. Loesch gives up a pair on the first. Brewers coming up. Starting rotation back intact as the Brewers continue to struggle. They come in at 21-35. And an interesting lineup today. A lot of balance in the lineup with three left-handed hitters. He's got Aoki leading off, then Segura followed by Braun. Ramirez, Gomez, and Juan Francisco, a big power lefty. Maldonado does the catching, and then Scooter GENNETT hits eighth with Kyle Loesch batting ninth. That's the Piggly Wiggly batting order. That will face A.J. Griffin.
A control pitcher. He started out 2-0, then lost 3 of 4. And now he's won 2 of his last 3. Second year with the A's, 7-1 last year.
Looks like a rock star and is actually an accomplished musician. He's a guitar player. Kind of falling in the line of the Bronson Arroyo theme. As Griffin deals to Nori Aoki. First pitch is inside, ball 1. Aoki coming in with a batting average of .295. And a couple of close calls yesterday. He hit 2 that went out to the warning track. He's not a big power threat, but he does have 4 homers. And that short porch in right field can be very inviting for Aoki.
He's got the ability to be able to hook that ball on the outer half of the plate and then hit it down the line.
3 balls and no strikes to Aoki. taking all the way. There's strike one.
A.J. Griffin, not a whole lot unusual about the delivery, very deliberate, and then he has a quick pause and then fires to home plate, stays on top. He's got a very good changeup, very average fastball. He may get to the 90s, low 90s. The changeup's good and a cutter. And he's also got a very, very slow curveball that'll flip up there once in a while. Look out.
Watch it. That was cool. Yeah, Griffin was not in camp last year, big league camp. A little bit off the radar, but started the season at Double-A. Was called up in late June as Aoki hits that one hard into left center field. Coco Crisp runs it down.
It's amazing how much ground that guy covers. That ball was in left center, more toward left. And speaking of Coco Crisp, let's look at the Menards Athletics defense for tonight. Same as last night, but let's talk about Crisp and able to cover those gaps pretty well. So the left and right fielder don't have a whole lot of room to cover.
You know what's interesting about the A's? They have a lot of personalities on their club. They've got just an interesting group of players, recognizable players, whether it be the facial hair, the long hair. It kind of reminds you of what the A's were like back in the 70s and even into the late 80s with those marketable players that they had, and they're starting to get back to that in Oakland. And they were quite the story last year, winning the division. They were 5 games back of the Rangers for the division lead with 9 to play, and they swept the final 6 games, the final 2 series of the year, the Mariners and the Rangers, to win the division and go into the postseason as division champs. And they faced the Detroit Tigers, took the Tigers to 5 games. Tigers eventually eliminated Oakland and of course would go on to the World Series. 0-2 to Segura. Count stays at no balls, 2 strikes. Saw our good pal Alana Rizzo here today from MLB Network. She's doing a story on Gene Segura. You'll be able to catch that in the coming days. We spent a lot of time with him today. Alana said he was the perfect gentleman today. That is off the glove of Griffin, right out to Lowry, and he makes the play for the out. So that'll go as a 1-6-3 put out. And 2 men are gone here in the first for Ryan Braun.
Trying to shoot that baseball right through the middle. You can see how well Griffin is at squaring himself and becoming a fielder when he gets rid of the baseball, knocking it down. Would have been up the middle. But an easy play for Jed Lowry.
So here is Braun with 2 away and the base is empty.
Ever notice how big the glove is that Jed Lowry uses at shortstop? I mean, that looks almost like an outfield glove. I noticed that yesterday. Pretty big glove. Infielders ordinarily don't use that big of a
you're right.
A glove, yeah.
It's a pop up over to first, foul territory. Easy inning for A.J. Griffin. A's lead 2-0. We head to the second. Run by Yoenis Cespedes, and we head to the second. Kyle Lohse back on the mound. He'll have the bottom of the order coming up here in the second. Brandon Moss leads off. Had a home run yesterday for Oakland and a solo shot in yesterday's game. Brandon Moss now with 8 home runs. The former Pirate has found a stroke with the Oakland Athletics. A's coming off a sweep of the Chicago White Sox, and they're headed to Chicago for another series with the Sox after this one. Little tour of the Midwest here. Maybe Chris Sale on Sunday, and then yesterday jumping on Marco Estrada. Estrada had to leave the game with a hamstring injury. And a 10-2 final when it was all said and done.
And no real word on how Marco's doing right now, but you would imagine he's a little bit sore today, and the question is whether he's going to be able to make a start. Probably not.
Well, Marco Estrada, the second Brewers pitcher to leave with a hamstring injury. In recent days, it was Jim Henderson during the last homestand, and Estrada last night, as Lohse misses up and in. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Brewers don't have to make a decision right now on Marco Estrada whether to place him on the disabled list or not, because as a starting pitcher, his spot would not come up for 4 days as Lohse strikes out Moss. And for more on the Marco Estrada story and his health, we check in with Sophia Minnaert.
Well, manager Ron Renneke saying today that Marco is officially day-to-day with that left hamstring strain, and he said there is a plan that Marco is unlikely to make his start on Saturday. We take a look now at the injury, leaving the game in the 5th inning last night. And again, Ron saying there is a plan in place, but he did not want to reveal it until after the game tonight or even tomorrow. It is an option for Mike Fiers to be recalled from AAA Nashville. In that case, Marco would have to go on the DL, Brian.
And certainly Estrada hoping not to go on the DL, and do you skip a start like he did earlier this year? But those leg injuries can be a little tricky with pitchers, and pitchers with leg injuries, sometimes that can turn into arm injuries, as Sogard pops this one up to Ramirez. Sophia, I know you had a chance to talk with Juan Francisco as well, and you had that conversation in Spanish. I'm wondering how he is approaching his first big league game at first base today.
Well, he admitted, he said, of course, there are nerves never having started at the position before. And he said that when Doug Melvin called him about the position, he said he took the put me in coach mentality, saying he felt comfortable playing at third or first. Said he's just ready to give this team a chance and was excited about having more playing opportunities than what he did in Atlanta. All
right. Thanks, Sophia. And Rock, you made that transition. You played first base. What are some of the things he'll have to focus on today in his first big league game?
We've been talking about that quite a bit, haven't we? That's the 5th guy for the Brewers that have never played first base. He's over there again. It's not as easy as just catching ground balls and catching throws from the infield. I mean, cutoffs and bunt plays and things like that, some of the subtleties of the position, but he's going to pick it up quickly. I mean, he's a good athlete, and he did play first base in winter ball, so not all that far into the spot.
Well, he is, I guess, the player you could describe him or compare him to the most that Brewers fans would recognize as Russell Branyan. He's a Russell Branyan type threat at the plate. And probably before the season's over, he's going to hit one up there in the dew deck at some point. He put on a show in batting practice earlier today as Lohse strikes out A.J. Griffin. And a nice tidy second inning. Good bounce back for Lohse. A couple of strikeouts.
Park. Everything closed up. A little cool outside tonight. And that brings us to tonight's time of the game winner, Oak Hills Golf Course in Oak Creek. If they call the Brewers in the next 24 hours, they get 40 Miller Lite beer pen tickets to a Brewers home game this year. This offer courtesy of the Tavern League of Wisconsin, Miller Lite, and our good buddy Keith Reed.
Feels right to be talking about a golf course in June, even though it kind of feels like October. But that's okay. We're in June. Warm weather's coming. Perfect day today. Play a little golf, play a little baseball, whatever is your fancy. Get out on the boat, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, Ramos Ramirez will lead off for the Brew Crew. It'll be followed by Gomez and then Juan Francisco and his Brewers debut coming up. Ramos Ramirez was one of the many spending a lot of time with Francisco before the game today, trying to get him acclimated, fellow Dominican. And Francisco is here primarily for insurance for Aramis Ramirez. Aramis still not at the point where he can play 3 or 4 days in a row. Usually goes 2 or 3 and then takes a day off. Pretty good bet he'd have tomorrow off for the day game.
And day games after night games, typically a time where Ron Renicky sits him. It may be a while before Ramirez is going to be able to play every day.
Three balls and a strike on Ramirez, and a big swing, 3-2. A.J. Griffin worked a scoreless first inning. Brewers went quietly in the first. Got a piece of Greg Gibson. One of the few umpires that wears that hockey style mask. I'm kind of changing my opinion on that mask after what we've seen the last couple of years. And I think the design principle is that it deflects the foul balls, but it doesn't to me look like it has the padding as the regular mask, like the one Jaso is wearing.
Well, it doesn't.
On the direct blows. As Ramirez pops this one up. And that'll be caught by Sogard for out number 1. Speaking of equipment, we've got an equipment question from Henry and West Alice. Carsoup.com email the booth question. Why do infielders use a smaller glove or use smaller gloves than outfielders, Rob?
Typically, the size of your glove is determined by how quickly you have to get rid of the baseball and make a throw. Now, outfielders, they can take a little bit longer. They don't have to find the ball as quickly in their glove as much as a middle infielder does. Now, typically, a second baseman will have the smallest glove on the field because when they have their back to first to turn a double play, they really don't have too much time to get rid of it. So they can't be fumbling around trying to find the baseball. So a second baseman will have typically the smallest glove, and then maybe shortstop, and then you have your third and first, and then the outfielders. I mean, they have like a highlight basket out there. There are limitations, though.
Carlos Gomez goes down the right field line, slicing foul. Well, the glove that Lowry is using looks to me like what you'd see a third baseman wear. It's a little bit bigger glove, and when you compare it to Sogard's glove, you see the difference between the second baseman's mitt.
Now, if you look in the rule book, and it's rule 1.14. The glove cannot measure more than 12 inches from the tip of any one of the 4 fingers through the pocket to the bottom edge of the heel of the glove. But I guarantee every outfielder has a bigger glove than that.
Yeah.
And so it's only going to come into play if a manager of the other team calls somebody out on it. But you know why he's not going to do that, because his guys have the same thing.
I remember there was some talk about Cespedes' glove last year. That looks like it's a different model, but about how big his glove was and what he was comfortable playing with while playing in Cuba. Whenever you think about outfielders with giant gloves, I think about Brett Butler.
And Brett Butler and Juan Pierre.
Yeah, Juan Pierre, big glove.
So 12 inches from top to bottom, and it can't be wider than 7 3/4 inches.
Carlos Gomez, a little soft liner out to second. And despite the small glove, Sogard still made the catch.
Remember Joe Morgan's glove, how small his glove was? That's the smallest glove you ever see. Fernando Vini used a very small glove.
It's kind of like Ricky Weeks.
Right.
Well, here's Juan Francisco. Fans give him a nice greeting. A world of talent, and we'll see if getting essentially released by the Atlanta Braves will inspire him to do great things in Milwaukee. Well, it is entertaining to watch him hit, regardless of whether he makes contact or not, because he has a swing for the ages. Gets jammed here. He pops it up in the infield. And Donaldson puts it away, and A.J. Griffin has retired 6 in a row to start it.
The Brewers and A's will wrap up their series, and fans, you can come out to Miller Park as your Milwaukee Brewers host the Philadelphia Phillies this Thursday through Sunday. For tickets, call 414-902-4000 or visit brewers.com.
All right, thanks, Sophia. 4-game series coming up, part of a 7-game homestand for Milwaukee. Kyle Loesch will be involved in that Phillies series. He's back at work here. Coco Crisp leading off this 3rd inning. He is sitting on a 7-game hitting streak after his single in the first. And it is a heavy streak. He's hitting .462 during the streak and has raised his overall batting average to .304 and his overall on base percentage to .404. That ball's hit well in the gap in left center. Braun closing, and he'll run it down.
Yeah, hung up there just enough to allow Brawny to make a running catch out there in the gap. That's the thing about Crisp right now. He's using the whole field, pulling balls down the line, using left field. Tough to pitch to and tough to defend. That ball kept slicing away from Gomez, and Ryan Braun able to haul it in.
Here's John Jaso now, back in the starting lineup behind the plate. Don't see many catchers hitting the 2-hole in a batting order, but Jaso has a left-handed bat, contact hitter, guy who will go deep in counts as well.
They all do that on this team.
He's a perfect fit.
It's kind of the way they're brought along.
Jaso coming to the A's from the Mariners. He and Derek Norris sharing time behind the plate. Norris is the better defensive catcher. At least he throws a little better.
Right-handed hitter to go along with Jaso, the lefty.
And a liner just out of the reach of Gene Segura. And a base hit for Jaso.
Yep, second 0-2 base hit that Kyle Lohse has given up. Now this one just out of the reach of Gene Segura. Needed about another inch and would have been able to grab it. Pretty good vertical right there.
Yeah, it's spring loaded. Well, Segura's only about 5'10", but he plays much taller in the paint. And if only he had Jed Lowry's glove, he might have pulled that one in. Now Cespedes, who homered his last time up, and it was a no-doubter. Made some noise as it banged on the concourse level behind, or up above the Brewers bullpen. Tremendous power, Cespedes. And has a big swing.
Might not see another fastball for a strike tonight.
Yeah, Lohse making the quick adjustment. Spent some time on the disabled list. Had a hand injury, his left hand, and I think that's been a big reason why his offensive numbers, his batting average has been a little bit down this year. That was in April.
Yeah, just ask Ryan Braun how much a hand injury can affect your swing. Ryan's been dealing with that, what now, 2 weeks?
That has taken a lot of power away from Braun, and Cespedes has still hit for power as he swings and misses. A big swing, and Lohse answers back after a home run in the first. He strikes out Cespedes, and now 3 punch outs. First of the inning for Lohse.
A couple of change ups, a slider, and then a change up to put him away. And yes, no fastball for him.
So 2 men are out. Jaso still at first, and here is Jed Lowry. It's one of the things about the A's that you can appreciate. Nobody fits a certain mold. Bob Melvin's not afraid to experiment a little bit. For example, a guy like Jaso hitting second. You got Jed Lowry hitting cleanup. He's not your prototypical cleanup hitter, but he's been a good hitter for the A's.
Well, typically your 2 best all-around hitters are going to be 3 and 4 in the lineup. Best chance to get him up as much in the game with men on base. Lowry hitting .321.
Lowry led the A's in hits in the month of April, set an Oakland record with 32 hits in the first month of the season. And he's been hitting in this series. Had a single his last time up. Ripped a double off the wall yesterday. That was Marco Estrada's last hitter. That was the injury to Estrada. Marco actually said he did it a couple of pitches prior to that. Tried to pitch through it, knowing that the starters had put a lot of stress on the bullpen, and Marco was pretty candid after the game last night. He said he was kicking himself because he tried to pitch through it and he probably made it a little bit worse. You know, as soon as he felt it, he probably should have said something had come out, and he might have been able to make his next start. Unlikely that he will be able to start again in 4 days.
Yeah, but if you're Marco Estrada, I think you do exactly what he did, you know, based on what's been going on with the starting rotation and how many innings the bullpen has had to eat up, and you just hope that you tweak it and then you don't feel it again. Sometimes that'll happen too. A little bit of a tug and then it goes away, but that's not the case.
Well, a full count to Lowry. Switch hitting shortstop. Got a runner at first, Jaso. He'll get a head start with the pitch. And there he goes, and Lowry lifts it in the air. High pop up. Scooter GENNETT is under it. And he's got it for the out. And again, Kyle Loesch back-to-back scoreless innings. Brewers down 2-0. They're coming to bat.
Happy to wear the Feeding America pins because Fox Sports is proud to team with Feeding America, a nationwide network of food banks that helps feed more than 37 million people in America each year through pantries, soup kitchens, and shelters. Visit feedingamerica.org/Fox Sports to learn how you can fight hunger in your community. Together, we're Feeding America. And today on our AT&T Twitter poll, Scooter Gennett making his first career start at second base, and we're asking fans who will be the next man up for the Brewers. Our Twitter poll question for Brewers fans today: who's the next minor league prospect fans want to see called up? You can tweet us at HFS Wisconsin with who you think between Hunter Morris, Johnny Helwig, Jimmy Nelson, and Ariel Pena. So, BA, we're asking fans to weigh in on who's the next up-and-comer.
Yeah, I like that. And Brewers fans are very smart about the minor league system, and we've talked a lot about them, and it's good to see a couple of guys having success down in the minor leagues. And Hunter Morris is coming off a huge month for the Brewers. He was the Brewers player of the month, minor league player of the month of May. And Ariel Pena was the minor league pitcher of the month.
And we saw all four of those guys down in Arizona in spring training. Johnny Helwig, very impressive in spring. Got off to a rough start in minor league season, but pitching much better.
0-2 to Maldonado, and that one's upstairs. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Maldonado coming up through the Brewers system. Had a great year last year. Slow roller out to short. Lowry makes the play for the out. Maldonado, he is retired 6-3 and 7 straight retired by A.J. Griffin. And here comes Scooter Gennett. Drafted and signed in 2009, and in the big leagues, his first career start. He did get an at-bat last night. Got a pinch hit appearance last night to get that one out of the way. Looking for his first big league hit. Out of Sarasota, Florida. Born in Cincinnati, raised in Florida. Gennett, he's got a pure swing. Seen a lot of him the last 2 springs, and he certainly impressed Ron Renicky this spring, the way he swung the bat. I think more than just how he swung the bat rock was the way he played defense and the energy he brought to the field every day. He's a scrappy ball player, and sometimes you can use a guy like that. And structurally, as he fits into the batting order, Roenicke puts him into a spot that he originally thought Gene Segura would occupy for most of the year.
And a good guy to have in that number 8 spot. I mean, GENNETT, very patient at the plate. He makes good contact, not afraid to work the count. What we saw from him down in Arizona, I mean, this guy, he's not afraid to take pitches. You have to have a patient hitter in that number 8 spot in the batting order.
And now the count goes 3-2, right on cue.
And defensively, we saw him make a number of very good plays, particularly up the middle down in spring training. And they say he has improved dramatically, over the course of his 4 years in the minor leagues.
Well, he has tremendous range, and a lot of the errors that he has committed through his minor league career, and there are a lot of them, had to do with him trying to do too much, trying to make the spectacular play or go, deep into the hole or try to make a play up the middle. And when he didn't have an out in front of him,
just hold on to it. That's what you have to learn.
GENNETT strikes out, and A.J. Griffin 8 in a row now as he picks up his first strikeout.
Hey, at Miller Park, every Friday is a $15 Fair Friday. Get one Terrace Reserve ticket to any Friday Brewers game and one general admission ticket to the Wisconsin State Fair presented by U.S. Cellular for just $15. Visit Brewers.com/State Fair for details.
As Kyle Lohse bats with 2 away. And Lohse into shallow center field. That's a base hit. So it's the Brewers pitcher who comes up with the first hit of the ball game for Milwaukee.
Same thing happened last night. 8 up, 8 down. Marco Estrada with a base hit. Now same thing tonight. Kyle Lohse getting things going on a changeup. Lohse able to get enough of it, got it down to the trademark, but able to dump it into center field.
So the first base runner, 2 gone, and back to the top of the order now, and Nori Aoki. Well, Griffin's going to be around the strike zone. That's his best asset. He throws strikes with everything he has. He doesn't have the overpowering fastball, but he's just funky enough, they say. Hitters, when you talk to him about Griffin, he hides the ball well. He comes straight over the top. It can be tough to pick up.
18 walks, 56 strikeouts coming into tonight's game.
And you wonder if he's done any catching in his career, because when he pitches, he looks like a catcher a little bit, straight from the ear. That one is gloved by Lowry. And the out at second base to end the inning. 2-0 A's headed to the 4th. Brewers baseball on Fox Sports Wisconsin is brought to you by Piggly Wiggly, the official supermarket of Fox Sports Wisconsin. By Ho Chunk Gaming Wisconsin, your ticket to more. And by Marshfield Clinic. Don't just live, shine. Downtown Milwaukee. Beautiful night in June. It's a little cool out, so the roof is all closed up here at Miller Park. And Kyle Loesch back at it as we head to the 4th inning. The A's scoring twice in the first with one swing of the bat. Buenos Cespedes with a 2-run home run in the first inning. 2 runs on 3 hits in the first. The A's have just 1 hit since. And Loesch with 3 strikeouts.
Yeah, keeping the baseball down, mixing it up very nicely. And yeah, that first inning came out really not much command, but much better since.
Josh Donaldson will lead off for Oakland. He grounded out to short in the first inning. And a strike from Loesch. Final game of the series tomorrow afternoon, and no television tomorrow, but we'll have a Brewers squeeze play for you in prime time at 7 o'clock. And then the Phillies come to town Thursday. 4-game series with Philadelphia, and the Marco Estrada injury has caused some questions in the Brewers starting rotation. We know that Peralta will start the opener. Figueroa will have Friday's game against Cliff Lee. Of Estrada, then Kyle Loesch will have the finale on Sunday. Loesch going to get 2 starts on this homestand. He has not pitched at Miller Park since early May.
And that was back against the Texas Rangers on May 8th. 6 1/3, 4 runs. Last 3 starts have been on the road.
Two balls, 2 strikes. And Donaldson down the right field line. That's a fair ball. Aoki cuts it off and will hold Donaldson to a single. Well, this kid just keeps hitting. Came in batting .321 and has a single to start the 4th inning.
Able to get on top of a high fastball, pulled the hands in and just shot it down the right field line, and that's what you get with an offense like the Oakland A's. I mean, tough to strike out. Puts the bat on the baseball. They work the count. And it's just maddening for a pitcher to try to get him out.
It was one of those quiet deals too. It didn't seem like much at the time. Donaldson was a catcher in the Cubs system when the A's acquired him. Got his chance last year. And a confident hitter right now. Has been a player of the week in the American League this season as Reddick lines one to right, and Aoki picks it right up off the ground before it hits. So Reddick, a tough break, a line drive out, and the first out of the 4th inning.
Got a good jump on it and had it all the way. An easy catch for Aoki. And it plays it off to the side with that big glove and hauls it in.
Yeah, we used to think that Aoki misread baseballs like that, but having watched him now for the 2nd season, he plays them all like that. Just more comfortable playing him off to the side, and he can manage it a little bit better.
Well, instead of diving head first, you can slide off to the side, and a lot less risk for injury that way. But when you play as deep as Aoki plays, you have to be able to come in and grab baseballs like that. I mean, that was a relatively routine line drive right at a right fielder, but the fact that he plays deep, he's got to be able to come in and make catches like that.
Aoki was a Gold Glove center fielder in Japan and still says it's his most comfortable position. But happy to be in the lineup every day in right field. And understanding of the decision. Gomez a plus defender in center field. The Brewers have 3 very good outfielders, Braun, Gomez, and Aoki. And their 4th outfielder, Logan Schaefer, might be one of the better outfielders of the group. And he doesn't play that often. A lot of depth out there. Ball and 2 strikes on Brandon Moss. I think it says a lot about an organization, though, Rock, that can take players who were given up on by their first organizations and they find success in the big leagues elsewhere. And the A's have done that with a number of these players. Josh Reddick is one of them last year. Moss, the former Pirate. Donaldson, the former Cub.
I think what it is, I think the Oakland A's organization looks for a specific type of player, I mean, that fits their model of what they want. I mean, you know, on base percentage type guys, very patient at the plate, don't have to be the big home run hitters. That's just not the way they operate. So you find guys like that other teams have given up on. More or less, some organizations just looking for the home run ball.
Moss with a big swing, a mile high, big league pop up, and it's dropped, and the Brewers are going to be able to get a force out at second base. So Segura dropped the baseball. Fortunately, though, it was an easy out at second base. Runner had nowhere to go. So instead of an F6, you mark it down as a 6-4 put out. It'll look like a ground ball in the box score.
Big high chopper, maybe.
That was a high chopper.
Yeah, just kind of squeezed the glove a little bit too soon, and Segura not able to haul it in, but easy out at second base.
So 2 men are out, and here is Sogard. Popped up to Ramirez in the second inning. That was the second out. And Loesch in there with a strike. And a line drive caught by Francisco. And his first defensive gem as a Milwaukee Brewer. Well, he was right there. He's holding the runner. So quick reactions by Juan Francisco, and the inning ends for the A's. 50-50 raffle tickets. Look for Brewers Community Foundation 50-50 sellers in the bright orange t-shirts. One lucky fan will win 50% of the game day proceeds. Raffle tickets are $2 each. And let's update our Feldco All-Star voting. We show you the top Brewer vote getters in the National League. All-Star game will be on Fox July 16th. And get out and vote. Remember, you can vote up to 35 times per email account online at Brewers.com. And if you like to be old-fashioned about it, just come to the ballpark and punch the old cards. And you can punch as many of those as you want.
No limit to that. I was just getting ready to say. A whole fistful.
Gene Segura will lead off. He's certainly playing like an all-star. Might find his way to his first all-star game. That'll be at Citi Field in New York this year. Bouncing ball to third. Donaldson makes a play for the out. And here comes Ryan Braun. Powerball home run leaderboard at this point. Braun with 9 homers. Carlos Gomez still leading the ball club. You got Betancourt and Segura with 8 apiece. And Lucroy, after a big weekend in Philadelphia with 3 home runs against the Phillies, now at 6. Braun takes a breaking ball in there for a strike.
Yeah,
that's 69 miles an hour.
That's that slow curveball that we were talking about in the first inning. Doesn't throw many of them, but a very slow breaking ball under 70 miles an hour. He can even throw it slower than that. Remember Dave Steve used to do that from time to time. That old, not old, but that former Toronto Blue Jay back in the 80s. Throw that buzzsaw sinker on you, and then just flip up that super slow curveball, just to tantalize you a little bit.
Dave Steve. Well, didn't he come close to a no-hitter
a number of times?
Got to like 2 outs in the ninth.
Like 4 times. A couple of no-hitters, a couple of perfect games.
He was a terrific pitcher with the Blue Jays. Dave Steve.
Yeah. But he finally got his no-hitter.
Yeah. No-hit stuff. Probably could have had 3 or 4, maybe 5 in his career. He was that close.
Yeah.
2 balls, 2 strikes on Ryan Braun as he fouls one back. A.J. Griffin has been very good tonight. Only 1 base runner. That was Kyle Loesch, the pitcher, who singled. And he just pouring the strikes in there. A.J. Griffin. He has 55 pitches in this game, 39 of them for strikes. That is an impressive ratio.
Very Cliff Lee-esque.
2-2, and Braun swings and misses. Back to the curveball. This time at 68 miles an hour. And his second strikeout.
He's got a pretty quick break on it, given the fact that he throws it so slow. It takes a lot off of it. Look at the spin on that baby. 1-finger curveball from A.J. Griffin. And Ryan way out in front.
So here's Ramirez now. Show you that curveball, real speed. Kind of feels like slow motion. Ramirez in the air to right. And Josh Reddick is under it. Another 1-2-3 inning for A.J. Griffin. He's working fast. He's throwing strikes. And he's working on a 1-hitter through 4. When the game isn't on, you can still see all the plays and at-bats that matter most during Brewers Squeeze Play. It's a 30-minute condensed version of select non-televised Brewers games, and you can catch the action tomorrow from the Brewers and the A's, 7 p.m. on Fox Sports Wisconsin. A.J. Griffin, the Oakland pitcher, who's rolling along on the mound, getting an at-bat and a bouncing ball. GENNETT backhands it, sidearm throw to first, and it's in time. What a play by Scooter GENNETT.
Well, he had the right guy running down the line, doing a nice job angling back. Nice soft hands on the backhand and a very accurate throw. Check him out. Kind of sets himself, makes an off-balance throw right on the money.
Well, nicely done, and you saw a shot there of the large GENNETT family that is here today, and Sophia is up there with that group. How's it going up there, Sophia?
Well, Brian, nobody cheering louder for that play than Joe and Tina GENNETT, Scooter's parents. And Tina, remarkable to see Scooter come up here, but there is a very funny story with why we call your son Scooter. Can you share that with us?
Yes, when he was about 4 or 5, he would never keep his seatbelt on. So I would be driving along and I would look back and he would undo it. So I'd have to pull over, of course, and stop and buckle him back in. And then one day he kept on it. And I said, next time you do that, we're going to go to the police station and let them talk to you about seatbelt safety. So sure enough, we get going and he's like, Mama. And I look back and he undid it. Of course, it was just negative attention. But so I took him to the police station, and happened to be that one of the fellows was coming out for his shift. And I said, can you talk to my son about seatbelt safety? He keeps taking his seatbelt off. And he said, sure. So he opened up the back door and he said, what's your name? And he said, Scooter GENNETT. And I said, oh my word. I said, tell him your real name. And he said, Scooter GENNETT. And it's the first I had ever heard it, because I was a working mom and he went to a babysitter, and I guess evidently he watched Muppet Babies all the time. And it was his favorite Muppet Baby, come to find out. But from that point on, he would, when we went home, I used to call him Rai Rai. And he'd say, I'm not Rai Rai, I'm Scooter. And so from that point on, relatives, everybody, he would correct him and say, my name is Scooter. So it just kind of stuck. So
a great story behind that nickname. What is it like to make the trip from Florida and see him here for his big league debut?
It's overwhelming. I mean, I cried the whole way on the airplane. My daughter, Kristen, kept saying, Mom, stop. You know, people were looking, but just all different emotions. You know, you hope some people, my mother passed away and his grandfather had passed away, so you wish they were here, but we know that they're there, they're seeing him, so it's emotional, you know, but a lot of family came. I think there's 15 of us here, so it's overwhelming.
Dad, Joe, probably Scooter's biggest fan. Joe, you have taken a 6-month leave of absence from your job just to follow Scooter in his career. What was your reaction to the call-up?
Speechless. No, it was amazing. It's an amazing moment.
Well, this is much a labor of love for the families of the players that make it for their debuts, and the GENNETTs certainly happy to be here celebrating with Scooter, Brian. All
right, thanks, Sophia, and good to see the GENNETTs and introduce you to the GENNETT family.
Make sure you don't call him Rai Rai.
No Rai Rai. I'm having a hard time calling him Scooter, actually. There's a strike call.
That's a great story. Yeah.
And, Jay, so yeah, it's a cool story. Scooter thought he was going to jail at 4 years old. He was already coming up with an alibi. Changed the name, an alias. Full count to Jay, and that's a bouncing ball right to GENNETT. And right on cue, he makes a play. So the right side of the infield making their debuts today for the Brewers. And a couple of gems defensively. Well, Kyle Loesch down into the clubhouse as he works a scoreless 4th inning. The A's needed a catcher down there. So Derek Norris, the full-on sprint, made it in record time without even disrupting play at all. A.J. Griffin is rolling along here. He's retired every hitter with the exception of Kyle Loesch. Loesch had a single to center field back in the 3rd inning with 2 outs. 12 out of 13 he has retired as he faces Carlos Gomez to start it, then Francisco, and then Maldonado. And if anybody gets on, Scooter Gennett. Gomez lined out to second, a little soft liner to second base back in the 2nd inning. He's happy to see Juan Francisco here. Those two hitting back-to-back in the order tonight. They know each other well from the Dominican Republic. There's a bunt. It's a good one. Griffin recovers and throws, and it hits Gomez. Gomez safe at first. This will be an interesting ruling here. They've got a good piece of Gomez. I think he got him on the back of the arm.
Well, both feet have to be in that lane. You know, running down that line, and one foot's out, and if that ball hits him, umpires could very well call him out. He's inside the line. Did the ball hit him or just a whiff by Moss? Get him in the hand?
They put his hand right where Moss's glove was going to catch the ball. That's unintentional, but
it doesn't matter.
It's right there, and safe is the call, and that's going to be an error. And I suppose they'll give that to the pitcher Griffin. I beg your pardon, they're going to give it to Moss. Now, if a player does that intentionally, he's out.
Well, if a player does that, gets hit while he's outside, you know, that running lane, he's out too. I mean, that's a simple rule. Both feet have to be in that running lane. If you get hit by that baseball, you're okay. But if you're out of that line, you're out.
And actually, they're going to score that as a base hit.
I was going to say, it's got to be a base hit. That would have been pretty close anyway.
So an infield hit for Gomez, just the 2nd hit for Milwaukee. Think about if Loesch doesn't have a single in the 3rd inning. Talk about an official scorer on the hot seat. Ball and 2 strikes on Francisco, and the throw, it would have been bang bang. It looked like Hunter Wendelstedt was starting to call him out, and then as the ball drops, he calls him safe. There's a liner, right field, foul. He hooked over it just enough. Well, Gomez was flying around the bags. Had a great chance to score there. When they talk about a guy who is a pull hitter, they're talking about Juan Francisco.
Yeah, he likes to use right field, but the Oakland A's pretty much haven't played straight away on the infield and the outfield.
Ball and 2 strikes, and it's down in the dirt. Good block back there from Jaso.
I haven't seen too many real dramatic shifts by the A's in the first 2 games of this series. And for a pull hitter up there, that's a pretty standard defensive alignment. Both the shortstop and second baseman had double play depth.
Brewers have their leadoff base runner aboard for the first time tonight, down 2-0. And it goes to 3-2. Now Renicky is hoping that in Gennett and Francisco he can balance out his batting order a little bit down at the bottom of the order. And a couple of left-handed hitters on days when the Brewers face a right-handed starter. Francisco is going to get playing time at first and third. First major league start at first base tonight. He's already made a nice catch. Gomez takes off, and it's ball 4. So Francisco, a free swinger. He draws the walk. And the Brewers have 2 on with nobody out here in the 5th.
And good patience by Juan Francisco to draw that walk. He was behind in the count and end up able to be patient and get the base on balls.
First walk issued by A.J. Griffin to go along with 2 strikeouts. And here is Martin Maldonado. Maldonado takes a breaking ball low and in. Maldonado making his 22nd start of the year. He's gotten some time at first base as well. He's a part of that revolving door over there. Matter of fact, he's made 7 starts at first base.
It's been a while since he started a game. Jonathan Lucroy has been catching quite a bit. And the hot hand, the hot hitter is going to be getting the playing time, and that's been Lucroy.
Now Maldonado got a chance last year when Lucroy went down with a hand injury. Lucroy broke his hand in Los Angeles in late May, and Maldonado became the everyday catcher instantly. And I think he surprised everybody with how he swung the bat. Hit for some average, he hit for power. Calls a great game. He's an excellent defensive catcher, always has been. Very animated behind the plate. The only question with Maldonado is he going to have enough bat to continue on. I mean, if he hits, he's a starter. He's a starting catcher in the big leagues if he hits at all. Been a lot of comparisons to Maldonado as he was coming up through the minor leagues to Henry Blanco. Longtime backup catcher, excellent defensive player. But the book is still out. His playing time has been sporadic this year. Got a chance to do some damage right here. 3-2, and Maldonado bounces one to third. Donaldson goes to the bag, so he gets a lead runner. Maldonado will reach on a fielder's choice. Oh, here's a look at tonight's Jimmy John's freaky fast delivery of the game, and with A.J. Griffin at the plate, making a bid at a base hit, Scooter Gennett takes one away from him.
And a tricky hop on the backhand. You saw that ball come up as it hit the seam of the grass. And nice soft hands and a good accurate throw to first base.
And here he is at the plate with 2 on and 1 out. Took a little off. Francisco at second, Maldonado at first, and Griffin misses away. Gennett had signed a letter of intent to go play college ball at Florida State. Brewers drafted him anyway in 2009. In the 16th round, just taking a chance, a hunch. Tim McIlvaine was the scout that drafted him. And what McIlvaine knew that Scooter Gennett didn't is that Scooter Gennett slept through his SATs. And so he wasn't planning on going to college, and McIlvaine knew that, and the Brewers were able to sign him. And a lot of other scouts, I'd say every other scout, didn't know that either. So a tip of the hat to Tim and Bruce Side and his crew. And he said, look, I think this guy's going to sign. He didn't He slept through his SATs. I think he's ready to play pro ball. He doesn't want to go to college.
Did he actually show up and sleep throughout the whole process, or not show up?
I think he just didn't show up.
Okay.
Is the way the story goes. So they drafted him in the 16th round. A lot of teams were scared away from that. As a matter of fact, there were reports that GENNETT was, prior to the high school season of 09, he was a first-round potential draft pick. And he slipped all the way to the 16th round. Signed for top 5 round money. And entered into the system, and here he is in the big leagues. And his proud pops, Joe. And a swing and a miss. GENNETT strikes out for the second out of the inning.
And the second time he's been able to get him on a fastball. Struck out the first time with a high fastball. Looked like it was out away from. This time up and in, and GENNETT not able to get the barrel of the bat on it. It'll take a while for the young man to settle in.
As Loesch back at the plate. Has half of the Brewers hits tonight, Kyle Loesch. Got a single in the third. The other hit was an infield hit by Gomez. A fortunate break for the Brewers. 2 on, 2 out. 2-0 A's. Bottom 5. Kyle Loesch does have 2 hits this year. 2 for 20 at the plate.
The Brewers have had a very difficult time scoring runs for Loesch this year.
Pulls it foul.
And today no different. First and second, nobody out, and it's up to Loesch to drive in a run by himself.
Well, until his last start, Brewers had scored just 4 runs in his 5 losses prior to his last start. They did score 6 runs in his last start. Loesch gave up 6 runs, however, to the Minnesota Twins. That was an 8-6 final score. Brewers scored most of those runs after Loesch was out of the game, but got into a deep hole early in that game. So a 1-6 record for Loesch and a 4.37 ERA. He was 16-3 last season. 2 on, 2 out, and a 1-2 pitch. Down he goes on strikes. Side retired, and A.J. Griffin still working on a shutout through 5 innings. A reminder that you can enroll in a world-class experience this summer as Quick Trip presents the inaugural year of the Brewers Baseball Academy. These instructional kid camps are coming to a city near you. All you have to do is visit brewers.com/camps today.
See, that's not an easy word to throw into the middle of that sentence.
Yeah.
I heard you stumble there.
No stumble.
I did.
No. The inaugural year of the Brewers
you
Baseball.
see, you had to pause.
We got to take a breath somewhere, Rock.
I'm glad it's just not me. A professional reader like yourself.
I thought I handled that.
You did beautifully.
Perfectly.
But, you know, you have to take a pause after that word. That's not one that just rolls off your tongue.
We can always just go with first and
I
clean
know.
it up.
That's what I've been doing, but you kind of gave me a hard time.
I don't remember that. I don't remember giving you a hard time at all.
Ever?
Did you say something wrong? Yoenis Cespedes leads off for the A's as Kyle Lohse goes back to work. Brewers being shut out on a 2-hitter. Lohse has given up 5 hits, and 3 of those came in the first inning. Cespedes had the big one, had a 2-run homer in the first. Pitch number 81 coming for Kyle Lohse. Boy, does this guy take a swing. I mean, he has a long, powerful swing at the plate. He always ends up on one knee, it seems like. Kind of reminiscent of Adrian Beltre of the Rangers.
That's a back legger right there, partner. And usually the back leg swings are long swings, which makes you opens you up to that high fastball, but you better get it up. You better get it inside, or he's going to give it a ride somewhere. And typically when you're a back leg hitter, you're a pull hitter.
Cespedes hit a long home run in the first. Lohse going to go with the breaking ball here at 3-1, and that one's drilled left center way back, and it's another home run for Cespedes, and that didn't take long to get out of here. Man, oh man,
that was a slider. 3-1 slider, and all 3 runs courtesy of Cespedes tonight. Couple of big home runs by the A's left fielder,
making this ballpark look very small.
Slider didn't do much, stayed up in the zone right down the middle, and Cespedes with that big hack, finishing with his weight going back toward the back legs it and knocks it out of here.
Wow. That's about as hard as you can hit a baseball. That ball's hit hard to left field. Lowry lines out to Braun. First out of the inning. Cespedes with 2 homers tonight gives him 11 for the season. First time in his career he's hit 2 home runs in a game. That ball's just got a different sound off his bat. That's one of the rare few. That reminds me of how Prince Fielder used to hit him, and Braun, of course, same kind of power. Ricky Weeks. Those are rare birds in the big leagues. And Lohse has got to be kicking himself. Fell behind him, got into a hitter's count, then hung a slider.
Yeah, but he threw a slider. You can understand. I mean, if he hit a fastball out of the ballpark, but Lohse realizing that if he throws a fastball, he's going to be in big trouble. The problem is he hung it. It didn't do much. He just spun up there and he hit it out of here. I think you know what he's thinking. If I throw anything under the fastball here for a strike, he's not going to swing at it.
There's a line shot to left, a base hit. 3 well hit balls in this inning. Donaldson reaches on his second hit. And the A's with 7 hits now. Runner at first with 1 gone for Josh Reddick. This feels like a game that Lohse had in the first month of the season in April, where he's pitching okay, but getting 0 run support.
And he is pitching well, except for that first inning. I mean, his location has been much better. He did make the mistake to Cespedes, but hey, a 3-1 slider. gets knocked out of the ballpark, tip your hat.
Well, in the month of April, the Brewers scored 12 runs in Loesch's 5 starts, and 7 of those came in a victory against San Diego. That was a game when Loesch dislocated his pinky and had to leave the game after 5 innings. That's his lone win. A game that he left with an injury is his lone W so far this year. And for a guy who won 16 games last year, well, you can imagine what's going through his mind. It's
got to be frustrating. You see 2.5 runs a game. And Figueroa just now in the starting rotation.
Yeah, most of his work this year coming out of the bullpen. (3-0) Athletics. Broken bat. GENNETT lays out and makes the catch. Put another one on the board for Scooter GENNETT.
Well, right off the end of the bat, GENNETT takes a good angle at it, good first step, and able to grab the sinking liner and thinking about turning the double play. He goes up the middle pretty well.
There's a breaking ball strike to Brandon Moss. Scooter GENNETT robs Reddick of a base hit. Brandon Moss is 0 for 2 against Loesch. In the air to center field, fairly deep. Gomez at the track, and he's got room to make the play, and that will retire the side. But Cespedes goes deep, gives the A's a 3-0 lead, and Scooter GENNETT putting a couple of defensive gems on the board tonight. Rob Griffin on a base hit last inning, and a diving catch, robbing Reddick in the 6th. A's lead 3-0. Awkward start to the sausage race today. Look at the Brock sporting the socks.
What did I tell you about the Italian? Remember yesterday?
Yeah.
Big win.
Yep, kind of
A no-show.
Ran himself out of it yesterday.
A no-show tonight.
Better showing by the hot dog. We got on his case last night. I heard. Now, he didn't hear the broadcast, but some of his family members did.
Right.
And they passed along kind of some of our critical analysis of him last night. And
mailing it in is what he's doing.
He's not happy. Nori Aoki leads off for the Brewers. The other part of the puzzle for Milwaukee. They're down 3-0. A's have had just enough offense. Yoenis Cespedes has driven in all 3 runs with 2 homers. But A.J. Griffin is working on a 2-hit shutout. Third time through the batting order now. Griffin with 4 strikeouts to go along with 1 walk. And there's a hot one gloved at first by Moss, and he'll take it himself. Well, the A's flashing a little leather as Brandon Moss takes a hit away from Aoki.
And Moss has not been able to get out of the 6th inning in each of his last 2 starts. But Brandon Moss able to help him there, taking away a leadoff single for Nori Aoki.
Good play at first base. Moss is working himself into an everyday role over there at first base. Not thought of as a great defender as Segura goes down the right field line. Reddick on the run and makes the catch. Another terrific play. Josh Reddick runs one down, and that saves a triple for Griffin against Segura. 2 outs.
Segura going right with it, going down the line and slicing away from Reddick as he chases it down, but able to make a relatively easy catch in fair territory. Had him played well, had him shaded toward the line.
Two quick outs, and it'll be Ryan Braun now. Braun gets jammed, little flare. The speedy Chris coming on. He can't get there. Sogard made a good effort for it as well from second, but Ryan Braun with a base hit. The 3rd hit for Milwaukee, and think about the 3 hits they've had. Had a flare from Loesch, an infield hit from Gomez, and now this one a jam shot.
And a little 2-seamer that got in on Ryan, and he's able to fight it off in the center field. And nothing really hit all that hard against Griffin tonight. Everything that's been relatively hit well has been caught.
Well, we'll see if that opens the door for Aramis Ramirez. Brewers trail 3-0. Ramirez 0 for 2. He's got a couple of fly balls to right tonight. And he starts him with a hook and a swing and a miss. Popped him up again. Chris coming in from center field. And that is that in the Brewers 6th. 3-0 Athletics. 6 in the books. We are headed to the 7th. Fox Sports Wisconsin is brought to you by the Wisconsin Lottery, reminding you to please play responsibly. By Miller Lite, it's not just a good time, it's Miller time. And by Quiznos, the new chicken fajita sub, only at Quiznos. Under the lights of downtown Milwaukee and Miller Park tonight on a Tuesday night. And Kyle Loesch is out after 6 innings. Tom Gorzolani next man up. Loesch goes 6 innings, 7 hits, 3 runs. They're all earned. All 3 coming off the bat of Yoenis Cespedes.
Hey, Gorzolani trying to get back into the fold after being reinstated from the disabled list on May 24th. He missed 11 games, but has pitched pretty well. Sunday at Philadelphia, pitched 2 scoreless innings.
So Tom Gorzolani probably trying to give the Brewers a couple of innings unless his spot comes up. Brewers will have Gomez lead off the 7th. A.J. Griffin has a 3-hit shutout going, and even the hits haven't been hit all that hard.
This is a guy that could probably give you a spot start if you need it. Tom Gorzolani. The Brewers would love to have a left-hander in their rotation at some point. Still waiting on Chris Narveson.
Ron Renicky told us today that the Brewers have a plan. He did not want to divulge that plan before the game, so we'll probably get some news after the game. Hey, look at Francisco, a little backhanded stab. Nicely done. These guys on the right side of the infield making themselves right at home at Miller Park.
Just like a backhand play on a ground ball at third base. In a little bit, and the left-hander pulls it right at him on 2 hops and able to make the play on the backhand. No big deal.
We got a couple of guys that were just acquired yesterday, acquired from the Braves. Francisco, brought up from the Nashville Sounds, GENNETT, and both getting their first starts as Brewers tonight. GENNETT his first start in the big leagues. Francisco his first career start at first base, and they've got 4 good plays on the list. And Griffin, a 1-2 count on the swing and miss. And that one's in there for a called strike 3. So 2 gone in the inning. We check in with Sophia.
Well, Brian, fans can head to foxsportswisconsin.com. Check out some coverage from Packers minicamp. Also, a family gets a surprise visit with Brett Favre and analyzing the Larry Drew hire. Great to see the new Bucs head coach. He joined us on Brewers Live before the game, so he will be getting to work on getting the Bucs ready for the upcoming season.
Sounds very motivational, doesn't he?
Yeah,
Larry Drew. I was ready to play a little defense after hearing him talk today.
Had a good NBA career and certainly comes in with some credentials. Wish him luck.
Here's Coco Crisp. Switch hitter, turns around, hits right-handed for the first time.
Yeah, they're still playing basketball, aren't they?
Yes, they are. The NBA Finals start tomorrow with everybody's favorite team, the San Antonio Spurs, against another team, the Heat of Miami. You know, I spent 12 years with the Spurs.
I know. I didn't know you back then, but I've heard the story.
Yo, you knew me. You just didn't remember me. We met a few times.
Yeah, at the Astrodome, right?
Yes, we did.
Vasgersian brought you in one day.
That's right. He brought me in. We had a long talk. You asked me a lot about me and my life. I gave you a lot of information that you dismissed immediately.
I don't remember it that way.
Exactly. You don't remember it at all.
I remember you and Vasgersian just kind of having a little buddy chat, and I was right in the middle, and I just left.
I don't think so.
Talking about your days doing play-by-play in the Texas League.
I don't think you remember any of that, actually. But that was probably a common occurrence with the bearded one. That ball's hit well. Deep left center. Gomez with room. Just shy of the track. Will make the play. Gorzelani a nice 1-2-3 inning.
You were one of 1,000 he brought in.
Nothing. Juan Francisco comes to the plate, and we have a pair of Brewers debuts tonight with Scooter Gennett and Francisco. So tonight on our AT&T Twitter poll, we're asking Brewers fans to weigh in on who the next minor league prospect fans want to see called up. And no surprise, Hunter Morris, the reigning minor league player of the year for the Brewers, took 43% of the vote. And then Johnny Hellweg, a pitcher also for the Sounds, took 35%. He was one of the pickups in the Zach Greinke trade, along with Ariel Pena and BA and Rock. The Brewers using caution, especially with Hellweg and Nelson, with when they bring them up, with many questions about when we may see them.
And I know fans get eager to see some of these minor league prospects that we talk about, and you have to take your time, make sure that they're right physically and mentally. And the one thing that, especially with pitchers, that you're afraid of is to bring up a player, have them struggle. As you see Gomez at the plate, presented by Wendy's tonight. Guy struggles, you lose confidence, and then you have to pick up the pieces a little bit. That's happened quite often.
But sometimes you're forced into a position you have to really test a player, and that might be the case.
Well, that's what happened last year with Gene Segura. The Brewers just got in a position where they had to have him, as Gomez lines one to right center. And a sharply hit single for Gomez, who always takes the aggressive turn, and he's aboard with a leadoff single here in the seventh.
Yeah, a couple of hits and back-to-back for him. Leadoff base runners in the fifth and now the seventh. A slider didn't do much, stayed right down the middle of the plate, and you love the approach by Gomez, inside out, taking that ball into right center.
So Gomez is aboard. Brewers trail 3-0. And Juan Francisco coming up, who walked his last time up, and he hits that one into center field, crisp, almost in his tracks for out number one. Yeah, the Brewers got in a situation last year where they really didn't have a clear option at shortstop, so they decided to promote Segura from Double-A. Segura struggled in his first few weeks here in the big leagues, and I can remember at the time there was some discussion, you know, do we send him back down? But September call-ups were coming, and Segura, once he got settled, he caught fire, and then he went to winter ball and won a batting title in the Dominican, and has been hitting ever since. So sometimes players do overcome, and that's all part of the evaluation process. You're trying to figure out if these young players in the minor leagues who are putting up numbers, if they can withstand a lack of success in the big leagues. Yeah, it's going to happen at some point.
Yeah, Segura looked a little bit overmatched offensively, but really not defensively. He looked good right from the start last year, but what a difference in him this year with a bat. Confidence is a major thing in this game. I mean, you're not even going to get drafted. You're not going to get to the high minor leagues unless you have ability. It's what you do with it. Your concentration, how you take care of yourself, how you learn from mistakes, and Gene Segura has done a nice job with that.
And I give Hunter Morris a lot of credit, because when the knee injuries occurred this spring to Corey Hart and then Matt Gamble, Morris had a chance to win that everyday job. He would have had to have had a great spring, as Maldonado sends that one to left. Cespedes for the second out. But Morris, he struggled. He put a lot of pressure on himself. He didn't hit. He knew there was a big league job there for him, and it felt like he let an opportunity go by. But then he goes to the minor leagues and he performs, and actually went on the disabled list with a concussion, but came back in the month of May, and he's been on a tear, and you got to give a guy a lot of credit, and I'm sure the Brewers take notice of that.
Well, he'll be in the big leagues. It's just a matter of when. Will it be sometime this year or next?
Scooter Gennett still looking for his first big league hit. Gomez at first had a leadoff single. Griffin trying to pitch out of it, and Gennett fouls it back. It's 0-2.
He's had some pretty good pitches to hit tonight.
Hoping this is the moment where he gets the first hit out of the way. No balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs in the 7th. And that slow curveball. Brandon Kensler in the bullpen. Pitcher spot due up next. Gennett lays off the high fastball this time. That's a pitch that struck him out in the 5th. 2-2. A's have a right-hander on the mound tomorrow, Bartolo Colon. And we figure Gennett will get the start once again tomorrow, although Ricky Weeks had a home run and a triple yesterday.
Glad he's in the platoon, and Ron Renneke is very adamant about that. Something you don't hear from Ron Renneke too much.
3-2, runner goes, swing and a miss. Griffin strikes out Gennett. Got him on a changeup. 7 shutout for A.J. Griffin. Yoenis Cespedes has been the star offensively tonight. He's responsible for all 3 runs. 2 homers, had a 2-run shot on the first, solo shot on the 6th. Kyle Loesch goes 6 innings, 7 hits allowed, and those 3 runs out of the game. And on the hook for the loss right now, Scooter Gennett and Juan Francisco making their first career starts in a Brewers uniform.
Them hitless, but playing some pretty good defense, both of them.
And here we go to the 8th inning. Tom Gorzelani will be on the mound for a 2nd inning of work. John Jaso, a lefty, will lead off. Might see Gorzelani face just 1 batter here. Cespedes is due up next.
Tough lineup to get through if you're trying to get the matchups, because they're a bunch of switch hitters, lefties, righties, staggered throughout the lineup, and try and set the matchups. You can blow through a bullpen pretty quickly.
John Jaso, the Athletics catcher, is 1 out of 3 tonight. He led the Mariners in batting average last year. Kind of a Jason Kendall throwback. Every now and then Bob Melvin will have him lead off. When Coco Crisp was on the disabled list, Jaso led off a few times. I don't remember many catchers outside of Jason Kendall that hit lead off. Maybe Craig Biggio, before he made the switch.
Yeah, he led off.
Did you ever hit leadoff, Rock?
No, I didn't.
3-0 to Jaso, and that one's in there for a strike. I think we actually looked that up once. You hit in every other spot in the batting order except leadoff.
I don't think I hit 2nd.
Or 2nd. No, I think you did. We got people on that. There's a strike. 3-2.
Don't bother, actually. I mean, nobody cares.
We like to tie it all up.
Yeah, do you?
Be a tremendous 2nd hitter. Gorzelani spending 2 weeks on the disabled list with a shoulder injury. Payoff pitch to Jaso, and that one is in there. A called strike 3. Jaso thought he had ball 4, but is rung up by Greg Gibson.
They tried to sell it anyway. Right at the bottom of the strike zone, and see that one right at the knees, and Martin Maldonado making it look pretty good.
And that is going to do it for Gorzelani. So he gives Renicky 4 outs. Keeps the A's at 3, and Renicky goes to the bullpen with Cespedes coming up. Goes to the right-hander Kensler, and we'll set the matchup up when we continue. Brewers. Goes an inning in the third with a couple of Ks. Having a chat with Rick Kranitz. Well, don't forget, Brewers Live postgame coming your way. Got an instructional tonight, and Rock, seems like a good night to talk about first baseman. What do you have for us?
I got Cecil Cooper. We did an instructional down in spring training, talking about, you know, positioning at first base, you know, footwork and things like that. There's Coop. He still has it. Boy, he can pick it.
Yeah,
Cecil Cooper.
Great first baseman. What a player he was. Got a chance to manage in the big leagues with the Astros. It was nice of him to join you guys for fantasy camp this year.
Yeah, he's a staple. He's down there just about every year. He loves it.
Brandon Kensler will pitch. Cespedes at the plate. And he's been the big challenge tonight for the Brewers. 2 home runs off Loesch. 2-run home run in the first inning. And a solo homer in the 6th. Both of them were very well hit as he beats the shift. So Cespedes with his 3rd hit. Well, Cecil Cooper at fantasy camp, and that reminds us to tell you that registration is underway for Brewers fantasy camp 2014, February 2nd through the 9th at the Maryville Baseball Complex in Phoenix. 414-321-8605, or the best way to do it, go online at brewers.com/fantasycamp.
Yep, January, or I should say February 2nd and 9th.
Remind me, is that before or after the Super Bowl?
Everybody flies in on February 2nd, which is the Super Bowl. We're going to have a big party room with a big screen. And
nice.
You will not miss the game. I promise you.
Just in time to see the Packers in the Super Bowl. You like that call?
Yeah, I do.
Jed Lowry fouls it away. So take the flyer on a great day for a sports fan. If you're 30 and over, of course.
Right.
Packers Super Bowl game. Fantasy camp the next week.
And then you celebrate with a week in the sun and playing baseball.
Yep. And then you celebrate that with 2 more weeks laid up in your bed with multiple injuries.
No, it's not that bad.
No, it's all worth it. Once the pain stops, the memories take over and hold strong. You have a complete access to the Brewers athletic trainers.
Yep, and you need them.
Speaking of, I saw Roger Kaplinger today. He's been a busy guy. He's they've been working out various players for the draft. We're going to have a lot to talk about concerning the draft this weekend. And all of the amateur scouts are here. Bruce Side coordinating the scouts.
Coming up. Yeah, the scouts, and we're in here at Miller Park last week. You have the cross checkers and the guys actively involved and intimately involved in the draft in the war room, and it's coming up.
That ball's hit well to center. Lowry sends Gomez back, and he's got it for the out.
Draft day is one of the best days in an amateur player's life. High school, college,
and their families, as we saw from the Scooter GENNETT family.
Yep, all the anticipation, trying to figure out where you're going to go, who you're going to go to, and I remember it well.
Compare the euphoria of being drafted versus being promoted to the big leagues.
Well, getting to the big leagues, I mean, far and away the greatest experience. Because, when you're playing in amateur baseball, whether you're in high school or college, you kind of know you're going to get drafted. It's just a matter of when.
Yeah, we all know that.
I mean, no. I mean, when you get to a certain level and you get to a certain,
and you're hitting third for Clemson and hitting bombs every day,
right?
You know you're
going to get drafted, but you know that you never know if you're ever going to get to the big leagues, no matter how well you do in the minors.
Just for the record, I am still draft eligible, so never know.
Yeah, based on
20th anniversary.
Well, based on all your complaints about how bad you felt after fantasy camp, I don't think you have a shot.
That's a good point. We should strike that from the record.
The problem that you had down at fantasy camp is you pitched 9 innings the first day.
That was a bad idea.
And that was it. You were done.
Yeah, that was a bad idea. That made me a left arm performer.
Who was your manager down there?
That would have been Don Money.
Yeah, bad move.
Kept going to the well. You got another inning, don't you? He never asked me if I felt okay. He just said, you can go another one, right?
You got to take wins in fantasy camp when they present themselves.
Actually, I went 10 innings.
Is that right?
Yeah, it was an extra inning game, of course. There were like 12 errors in the game. Good memories, though.
Yeah.
I think I hit 3 guys, gave up about 15 hits.
But you won.
Yeah, that's a big win. That was a big win. I think that was our only win. 2 balls and a strike. Kinsler trying to get through this 8th inning. The Brewers are running out of outs. 6 to work with. They'll have a pinch hitter start the bottom of the 8th, assuming it'll be Logan Schaefer, and then to the top of the order. But imperative that Kinsler get Donaldson here and get him to the dugout. Michael Gonzalez getting loose. Got 3 consecutive lefties due up after Donaldson. And you probably see him. Brewers know they can't afford to give up any more runs. So Renicky will probably play this one like he's got a lead in the 9th if he has to. And a tough night for the offense. Only 4 hits. And only 1 of those have been struck well. And Loesch has 1 of the 4. Kyle Loesch, the pitcher. Oakland's bullpen about as good as it gets in the big leagues. Doolittle's the left-hander. Grant Balfour is their closer.
Yeah, 3 left-handers and 4 right-handers down in the bullpen. Good balance down there.
Sean Doolittle's ready. You got Logan Schaefer available to pinch hit. And we'll see if Renicky adjusts that with the lefty coming in. So Kinsler walks Josh Donaldson, and now first and second. And Renicky is going to make the call here to go with the left-hander, and it's going to be a double switch. So with the lefties coming up, Renicky's going to go to Gonzalez. And we'll set up the double switch and the matchup when we come back.
Coming up, it's a 3-0 game right now. 2 runners on for Oakland. Other pitching change for the Brewers. This is where the bullpen really has to come through now to keep this team in.
Well, that's right. You know, we got they just did a double switch. Ron Renicky did, but you know, to get to that, you got a pinch hitter and then the top of the order. So you're hoping they can get out of this inning without any more runs, and with the top of the order coming up, hopefully we can get something going.
And Ricky Weeks will come in and play second base. He will bat ninth and lead off the Brewer half of the 8th inning. And Michael Gonzalez is in now to pitch for Milwaukee, trying to get out of this with 2 down and 2 runners on. Again, we have full coverage coming up of this ball game. Brewers Live post game on the way. And this copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Milwaukee Brewers Baseball Club and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Milwaukee Brewers. Brian?
All right, thanks a lot, Craig and Davey. And Gonzalez against Josh Reddick. And a swing and a miss. So the matchup for Ron Renicky as he tries to navigate his way through this 8th inning, the 3rd pitcher of the inning. Gorzolani started it with a strikeout. Kinsler giving up a hit and a walk. The 2 runners that are out there belong to Kinsler. And Reddick takes strike 2.
Hey, Gonzalez has been lights out. His last 11 appearances hasn't allowed a run. Faced 5 batters on Friday against the Phillies and retired every one of them.
Gonzalez was voted as the Brewers pitcher of the month in the month of May. In one of the worst months in franchise history, Gonzalez and the bullpen were the bright spots. 1-2 to Reddick. 2 on, 2 out. Now Gonzalez is tough on right-handers as well, but this
that pitches on the 3rd base side of the pitching rubber, and you can see he really can't pick up the baseball all that well. High 3/4 and makes it tough on lefties.
And the 1-2, little half swing. Did he go? No, he didn't, says Jerry Lane. And it's 2-2 now. Well, when Gonzalez struggles, it is with his command. It's all about throwing strikes, but when he's throwing strikes, he is tough to hit. 2-2. Hold on the ground. Francisco knocks it down. Gonzalez late covering, and everybody going to be safe.
Yep, got to get over there. All right, what a play by Francisco, but Michael Gonzalez not even close to getting to first base. That's a mental error right there by the Brewers pitcher. And Gonzalez falls off toward third base quite a bit. Francisco doing a very good job of getting to the baseball, but nobody to toss it to.
A terrific play by Juan Francisco, who's been excellent tonight, but Gonzalez nowhere to be found.
You see the way he falls off toward third base, and just that little hesitation. All it took to allow Reddick to reach on a base hit.
So Rick Kranitz on his way to the mound. And a discussion with Maldonado and Gonzalez. Brandon Moss is going to be lifted for a pinch hitter here. Nate Fryman will be announced as the pinch hitter. Fryman doesn't get much playing time when a string of right-handed starters are on the mound. He does start against lefties in a platoon over at first base with Moss, and Fryman, all 6 feet 8 inches of him, will step in here with the bases loaded and 2 outs in the 8th. This is the rookie of the month in the American League in the month of May, Nate Fryman.
And Ron Renicky elected to go with Gonzalez, who has been very good against him. right-handed batters as of late. Right-handed batters hitting only .222 against Gonzalez.
Yeah, 2-0 to Fryman. A mountain of a man at home plate. A Rule 5 pickup for the Oakland A's, and a big swing from Fryman. Two balls and a strike. Bases loaded. And that's inside ball 3. He's got Fryman from the Astros. His wife is an LPGA Tour player, Amanda Blumenhurst, who was in contention this week. He's trying to make a name for himself in the big leagues as he hits that one high in the air, swinging away 3-1. And this will retire the side. So the A's strand, the bases loaded, unable to deliver a knockout punch. We'll see if the Brewers have some fight in them. Inning. And tonight's shining moment brought to you by the Marshfield Clinic. And we've seen some good defense on the right side of the infield tonight. Both Juan Francisco and Scooter Gennett. A couple of plays apiece for these guys. Gennett had a nice diving stop, diving catch against Josh Reddick. And Francisco has had 3 of them tonight. And Ron Renicky mixing and matching. He went with a double switch, and he now has Ricky Weeks leading off. He came in for Gennett. Nate Fryman will take over at first base for the A's. And the new pitcher is Sean Doolittle. Tough left-hander to deal with.
Yep, 3-0 at .213 earned run average in his 26th game here tonight. Averaging almost a strikeout per inning, and he's only walked 4, so you got to go up there swinging against this guy.
So Ricky Weeks leads off 3-0 Oakland. Cespedes responsible for all 3 runs, and Weeks lines one to left, jumping on the first pitch. Man, his bat starting to get going here. Had a triple and a homer yesterday. Weeks not ready to relinquish that job just yet.
Yeah, quick bat, not messing around, and you get a guy that's throwing strikes like Doolittle. You got to go up there and tack early.
There's Nori Aoki now. And there's a shot, base hit, back up the middle. 2 pitches, 2 hits, and the Brewers will bring the tying run to the plate.
And again, I mean, that's a scouting report on this guy. You go up there, you get a pitch you like, you go after it, don't mess around. He's not going to walk you. Middle in, Aoki pulls the hands in and shoots it out of the reach of Lowry at shortstop and into center field. That didn't take long for Milwaukee.
Kurt Young, A's pitching coach. And a quick visit here. Sean Doolittle's giving up 2 hits, and the one to the lefty probably has him thinking more than any. Oakland has Ryan Cook getting ready quickly in the bullpen, and that visit by Young may have been as much to give Cook some time to get ready as anything else. 2 on, nobody out. Brewers down 3. Segura, second in the league in hitting, coming into play today at .344.
And 94 on that fastball on the gun for Doolittle. Throws it pretty good. Pretty straight fastball to go along with the slider.
And a ground ball. It's a base hit. Gets down into the corner. Weeks will score. Aoki around third. He was going to try to score. The throw comes to the plate, and Aoki's in there. A triple, 2 RBIs, and the Brewers are within a run.
Right, 4 pitches, and the Brewers are within 1. Base hit, triple. 4 pitches is all it took. And now that Griffin's out of the ball game, the biggest break the Brewers have gotten tonight is Bob Melvin taking Griffin out of the game. Since that time, the Brewers have been swinging the bat. And now the tying run at third base with nobody out, and Ryan Braun coming up.
That is Gene Segura's league-leading 7th triple. 2 runs batted in gives him 25 for the season. And the Brewers are within a run. Segura flying around the bags. And here comes Ryan Braun now with the infield coming in. And certainly by now Braun knows about the news that has been swirling that was first reported by Outside the Lines. That he is involved in a potential suspension. And Alex Rodriguez named along with 20 other players. And Braun continues to play. Huge news that many feel will come to a conclusion very soon. We'll have to see about that. Ken Rosenthal has more on the story at foxsports.com.
And something that broken spring training that has been hanging over Ryan Braun and the Brewers' heads all year. And we'll see what comes of it.
Well, that would certainly be a blockbuster and a devastating blow to the Brewers. But Braun is at the plate. Pitcher coming in. We'll take a timeout. We'll set it up. Bottom of the 8th inning, 3-2 Oakland. 3 straight hits to start this inning. Segura with a 2 RBI triple. And the A's have Ryan Cook on the mound. Hard throwing right-hander with an ERA, a superb 2.16. And the setup man for Grant Balfour.
Well, he's got a tall task at hand, the tying run at third base with nobody out, and the Brewers bringing up 3 and 4 in the batting order. You see the numbers for Cook, great numbers, 30 punch outs in 25 innings of work.
So the stage is set. Tying run at third base, nobody out. A's are going to bring their infield in. And the Brewers right in the heart of their order. Braun is 1 out of 3 tonight. Had a single in the 6th inning. And Braun bounces one toward third. Easy enough for Donaldson. And Cook has one piece to the puzzle. Segura has to stay put. Tying run still there with 1 out. Coach text question tonight: what makes a hitter clutch in a close game situation? Jessica in Milwaukee, and delivering the big hits.
Assuming that he has the ability, he wouldn't be here. But a guy that understands who the pressure is on, and in this situation, the pressure's on Cook. Tying run 90 feet away, nobody out. You got to relax and just take it as an at bat that you ordinarily would. And a lot of guys go up there and just try and squeeze the sawdust out of the bat and try to hit the big home run, be the hero. I just can't do that.
Now Ramirez has been a great run producer throughout his career. Infield still in. Just needing one semi deep to the outfield to get Segura home. Won't take much. And he breaks his bat. That's trouble. That's got a chance to fall. It will fall. A base hit for Ramirez. Segura scores, and we're tied at 3.
Well, it wasn't pretty, but it was effective. Now the Brewers coming all the way back. It didn't look like they had much life in their bats tonight, but you see that 2-seam fastball eats up Ramirez on the inside corner. And with the infield drawn in, that's the risk you take when you bring that infield in. A flare into center field to tie it up.
Well, Ramirez at first, 1 out, and Carlos Gomez, who is 1 out of 4, or check it, 2 out of 3, and a line drive out, had an infield hit in the 5th, and a clean single in the 7th. Both starting pitchers will have no decisions tonight. Loesch off the hook for the loss. A.J. Griffin out for the victory as Gomez goes down the right field line. That is a foul ball. Just missed it.
And the fact that it's a tie game is why Ramirez is still at first base. Had that ball been fair, I'm not sure that Ramirez would have been able to score that go-ahead run. If the Brewers are down by a run, they certainly would have pinch ran for him, but and maybe he gets at second base or even third, you might see a pinch runner. You got Schaefer and Bianchi on the bench, both with great speed.
No balls, 2 strikes, and down the right field line, slicing Reddick toward the wall. That slice is foul, and it's no balls and 2 strikes. Brewers have tied it up. 3 runs in the 8th inning. Doolittle giving up the first 2. Cook with the broken bat RBI single from Ramirez. And Gomez pulls that one foul. I think he broke his bat.
He's getting into some hands, isn't he? Throws hard, mid-90s with some good movement on it, tailing on these right-handed batters.
Ryan Cook ready to deal an 0-2 and another jam shot foul. Well, he is just powering that fastball inside. See Fox Tracks showing his game plan against Gomez.
Yeah, first pitch slider to get ahead of him, and nothing but fastballs since.
The 0-2 outside for a ball. 1-2. Gomez is the club leader in home runs. Brewers have the go-ahead run at first base. Still just one away. And a check on Ramirez. He's not going anywhere. Ready for another 1-2. Pitch number 7 and a bouncing ball to short. Got a chance to turn it. Goes 6-4. Well, the Brewers, they tie it up with 3 runs in the 8th inning. Gene Segura with a big hit, driving in 2. Aramis Ramirez with a broken bat. And we're all tied at 3.
Scores the tying run as the Brewers tie it up in the 8th. Join Baker Tilly in supporting Brewers Community Foundation. Special Gale Club ticket packages for the July 9th game include food and beverages and a limited edition framed photo set autographed by Yvonne Gallardo and Jonathan Lucroy. Call 414-902-GAIN for tickets.
All tied at 3 as we head to the 9th inning, and Francisco Rodriguez is on the pitch. Brewers closer, one of the luxuries you have at home. You can bring your closer in a tie ball game. So it's going to be a last at-bat win for someone here tonight. The A's have been very good in spots like this so far this season. They are 9-1 when they get to their last at-bat with a chance to win. 9-1 this year.
Yeah. And doing little things to win games. That's what it takes.
There was a strike to Eric Sogard.
And Rodriguez not saved number 3 on Saturday against the Phillies. He struggled a bit in doing it. Gave up a run in an inning of work and gave up 3 hits.
Sogard in the air to left, and Braun is there. Out number 1. And it's going to be Seth Smith to pinch hit now. Brett Balfour is the closer. Jerry Blevins the left-hander. And Seth Smith, who has not pinch hit very often this year. He's 1 for 2. That one hit was a home run. 3-3 game in the ninth with one away. Well, this would be quite a comeback for the Brewers if they could finish it off. Down 3-0 going into the 8th inning. Got 3 straight hits to start the inning. And a 3 spot to tie it up. 2-0. Oakland, when they lead after 7 innings, they are 26-1. That's how good they've been with their late inning relief. So coming back against the A's is not something that you see a whole lot of. There's a strike. 2-1 to Smith.
And Doolittle doesn't give up too many runs. I mean, this guy, 3 hits and only 4 pitches for the Brewers. I think the best thing that ever happened to the Brewers tonight was to get Griffin out of the ball game. He was dealing tonight.
That goes to 3-1. Griffin held the Brewers down. Even the hits they had off of him were pretty benign.
Didn't seem like his pitch count was all that high either.
7 shutout for Griffin. Will not factor in the decision tonight. There's a strike. 3-2. Seth Smith certainly fits the mold of an Oakland A's hitter.
Former Rocky.
Yep, had some good years with Colorado. He is a threat at the plate. Has 5 homers this season, 24 runs batted in. And that one just missed. Wow. Not by much. Ball 4 to Smith and a walk with 1 out.
That's a tough pitch to take. Yep, leave it up to the umpire just off the corner, and he draws the walk.
Now Smith normally the designated hitter for the A's, so he's used to sitting around and then getting an at bat without playing defense, and he is aboard representing the go-ahead run. Top of the order, Coco Crisp. 1 for 4 tonight. Back on the left side of the box. Almost impossible to double him up unless he smokes one right to an infielder, just like Gomez just did. Bounced into just 2 double plays this year. Got a little history against K-Rod. A home run against him. These
guys don't chase much, do they? I mean, he takes some pretty close pitches.
That's why they are the major league leaders in walks, and they're comfortable hitting with 2 strikes. That's really where the story lies.
Yeah, wear you down. It's not like all of a sudden they become Oakland A's and become very disciplined at the plate. I mean, they bring players in that are disciplined at the plate already.
It's one thing to want to be a disciplined hitter, and everybody does. Every hitter wants to have plate discipline, know the difference between a ball and a strike. It's another thing to be confident with 2 strikes as a hitter, because you're going to be in a lot of 2-strike counts when you're taking a lot of pitches.
And taking very close pitches at that.
That's interesting. They're hitting coach Chili Davis. He was a free swinger, but he has managed this Oakland A's philosophy and the type of hitters they have assembled here. Three balls and a strike on Crisp. All tied at 3 in the 9th. And he's into that one in the air. Aoki will settle under it as K-Rod comes back to get him. So it makes a good pitch on a 3-1 count, and Crisp is retired.
Yep, got in on his hands, and Crisp feels as though he missed a good pitch to hit, but Frankie able to get in on the inside corner and jam him a bit. There it is. Inside, you can see Crisp really trying to pull the hands in, but just got under it.
John Jaso now with 2 away.
Now you were talking about Jaso as a leadoff hitter. How could we forget Jason Kendall, catcher, as a leadoff hitter? Did you say that? You said him?
He might have come up. That's the only guy that I can remember doing that regularly as a catcher.
You were talking about Biggio, I know.
Yeah, Biggio. I'm not sure if how much Biggio let off before he was converted. I know he let off once he was converted. Yeah, former A's manager Ken Maka, when he was managing the Brewers, used to have Kendall lead off. All tied at 3. The 0-1 to Jaso. Bouncing ball. Ranging over is Francisco. He'll take it. Francisco Rodriguez to Juan Francisco. And we're headed to the bottom of the 9th, still tied. See if they have a walk-off win tonight. It would be the 3rd of the night in the big leagues. Our Powerball home run count. Ricky Weeks hit one yesterday and almost had 2 yesterday. Had a home run review that was overturned, ended up as a triple, but this Powerball home run count at 4. Don't forget the final game of this series tomorrow. The A's and the Brewers. Today game here, matinee at Miller Park. Our Miller Lite What's on Tap. 1:10 is the start time. You can catch it on the Brewers Radio Network. And Giovanni Gallardo will match up against Bartolo Colon.
Colon having a nice season, huh? 6-2. Found new life here in Oakland.
Well, that'll be tomorrow. Again, we'll have a Brewers squeeze play to give you a quick 30-minute rundown of the game tomorrow at 7 p.m. on Fox Sports Wisconsin. Jerry Blevins is the new Oakland pitcher. And the left-hander will face Uni Betancourt, who will lead off. He's in for Francisco, the left-handed hitter. Renicky makes the change here.
They have 4 wins out of the bullpen, tied for the American League lead for relievers. And look at the walks. 2 walks and 20 strikeouts in 25 in the 3rd inning. So a common theme in this Oakland A's bullpen, go up there swinging. They're not going to walk you.
Uni B leading off this 9th inning in a 3-3 game. Now, there have been 2 walk-offs tonight. The Braves beat the Pirates. Andrelton Simmons with a walk-off double, and John Mayberry Jr. hit a grand slam for the Phillies as the Phillies beat the Marlins tonight. Brewers trying to become the 3rd of the evening. Now with Betancourt leading off, Maldonado to follow. A right-handed batter. Brewers are down at the bottom of their order.
That pitcher's spot is 8th.
Two and one. Well, Betancourt will start to emerge as his job description was given to him when he signed with the Brewers. Going to be more of a utility player. Can play 3rd and short, 2nd, 1st. He said he'd even play in the outfield if you need him to, and he did that earlier this year. And this is what he'll be used primarily for, a right-handed bat off the bench with some power. A cue shot foul, and it's 2-2 on Betancourt. Well, the Brewers bench just changed significantly in the last couple of days. Figure on days when Ramirez doesn't play, you'll have Francisco get those starts. You got Weeks, who will be available, or Scooter Gennett, depending on who's on the mound that day. Suddenly have some power coming off the bench.
Wasn't that long ago, the Brewers only had 3 guys on their bench. Now they've got 5. A little bit more flexibility late in the game for Ron Renneke.
Two and 2 to Betancourt. Pinch hitting here in the 9th. And missed badly. 3-2 now. And now forced to come in there. As a pinch hitter, Betancourt is 1 for 3.
And keep in mind, you get toward the bottom of the order, you've got one of the hottest Brewers on the bench tonight, Jonathan Lucroy.
3-2, and that one's in the air, foul. Will it stay playable? Donaldson gives it a look, and it's 4 rows up. Yeah, there's a tarp here at Miller Park. I've never seen it out on the field, but it's there. You have to have one.
Yep, just in case the roof doesn't work, right? Got to roll the tarp out. I'm sure they have the roll the tarp drill for the ground crew, just in case.
Yeah, just for fun. They time them. Another 3-2 coming. And it's ball 4. So the hard-to-walk Uli Betancourt is aboard with a free pass.
Against a guy that never walks anybody. I mean, that goes against all conventional wisdom right there. 2 walks all year. Betancourt hardly ever walks, and he draws a walk. All right.
And now Maldonado. Well, if only it was played on paper, right?
Wouldn't be any fun that way.
No. That's the winning run at first. Maldonado likely up there to bunt. You got Lucroy already on deck.
And bunted toward first base.
He squares and he gets it down. It's a good one. So Maldonado does his job. A sacrifice bunt, first of the year for the Brewer catcher.
Very nice.
And that is going to move Betancourt to second with Lucroy coming up.
Yeah, you can't roll it out there any better than what Martin Maldonado just did. Get that bat head out, the barrel of the bat above the handle, and drops it down nicely. Just catch the ball with the end of the bat. And that's exactly what he did.
So a big bat available to Renneke right now. Got a base open at first. The winning run is at second base. As Lucroy pinch hits in the pitcher spot.
Let's see if they walk him and set up the double play. It looks like that's what they might be doing. Yep.
So an intentional walk coming. That's the smart play for Bob Melvin.
And that's the last thing that Ron Renneke wanted to see right there. Pretty much taking the bat out of one of the hottest Brewers' hands right now.
I guess the gamble for Renneke is if you send Bianchi up there in this spot, do the A's, pitch around? Do they walk him? And then
that's the thing.
You don't use Lucroy, and so the threat of Lucroy is what has issued the walk.
And the other thing is you might leave Lucroy in the game and put Maldonado at first base.
All right, so Lucroy is aboard. Brewers would just as soon end it right now. And these two managers going at it, and Bob Melvin is on his way to the mound. He wants to lead this discussion. This is not a pitching change here. Bullpen's empty.
Well, probably reminding Blevins and John Jaso that Ricky Weeks jumped on the first pitch that Doolittle threw to him.
That's one of the great things about baseball, redemption. And Weeks, who's been scuffling all year, has started to come out of it a little bit. And the day that they bring up Scooter Gennett and Renneke announces it's a platoon with Weeks and Gennett, it's Ricky Weeks who steps into the spotlight with a chance to win the game. Has 3 career walk-offs, but his last one came in 2008. Big spot for him. Winning run at second in Betancourt. And it's down and in. Ricky Weeks had a single his last time up. He is a hit away from 1,000 in his big league career. You'd love to see it right here. One and one. Weeks came in on a double switch. And John Axford in case this one goes to the 10th inning. A's have good arms in the corner outfield spots, below average in center with Crisp. And the 1-1 in there for a strike. Surprised him. Ricky got caught guessing.
That first fastball, a couple of sliders, and then a fastball in the inside corner.
Cespedes has a cannon in left field. Crisp, the worst arm of the bunch. And Reddick throws it well and right.
But not very good speed on the bases for the Brewers.
1 ball, 2 strikes with 1 away. And Weeks stays alive. Weeks homered off Tommy Malone yesterday, a left-hander. 2 for 3 yesterday. Down to the count, 1-2. Blevins issuing 2 walks, 1 intentional in this inning. And the 1-2 pitch is a little bit low. 2-2 now on Ricky. That was Weeks' first at bat in the 8th inning after he had come in the top of the inning in a double switch. Winning run at second, the 2-2. Inside, ball 3. Full count. And the normally controlled pitcher is having his troubles here, Blevins. Setting up inside, everything in there, and Blevins.
You can see that one coming. Just trying to figure out if the Brewers are going to send the runners. I don't think so.
Ricky Weeks strikes out a lot.
And not very good speed out there.
Got the lefty Aoki on deck. Ricky Weeks a chance to win it right here. Everything inside you can see from Fox Tracks. That's from the pitcher's perspective.
There's only one fastball in this whole sequence, and all sliders. More like a cutter than a slider, but nothing really straight except for one pitch.
Weeks looking for a mistake. Full count, 1 out. Runner stay put, and Weeks launches one. Center field, back is crisp. He will have room. Betancourt will tag, and he'll make it to third. But the second out, Ricky just missed it on the bat.
That was a very nice at bat for Ricky. A 7-pitch at bat. And a good battle. He got ahead in the count. He kept throwing the cut fastball. There's one right there. There's the only fastball in the whole sequence. And then you see Blevins go after him with the cutters, one after the other, until Ricky finally able to center on one on pitch number 7 and take it to the warning track out in center field. Nice at bat by Ricky.
Well, it ends in a long, loud out. Wrong part of the ballpark for Weeks. And Betancourt, the winning run, ends up at third base. And here is Nori Aoki.
Can't be alive for Aoki dropping down a bunt. He likes to try and take a bunt with him. Very good against lefties.
.337 hitter this year. It's among league leaders in the National League. 3-3 game, bottom 9, 2 outs. Winning run at third. Here it comes. And he almost hit him.
Yep, corners are in, opening up some holes for Aoki. Yeah, respecting his ability to bunt. In at third, in at first. Gives him a lot of room, a lot of holes over there.
Just had one last year against the Cubs. And that ball did hit him. Aoki drilled as Blevins will load the bases.
There's a curveball, though. I mean, 69 miles an hour. That's not going to hurt too much. And more importantly, you get the left-hander, you put him on first base, and then bring up Segura.
Well, that is a big break for Milwaukee as Blevins let a breaking ball get away.
How about Blevins? He came into this game with only 2 walks. He's walked 2, 1 intentional, and he's hit a batter. So showing some unusual wildness.
I think Aoki did as much damage when that foot missed as he went to his backside. We'll take the hit by pitch. Here we go. Bases loaded. Segura, second in the league in hitting. Hitting .342. He had a triple and 2 RBIs in the 8th. And he takes a strike from Blevins. Brewers have had walk-offs this year from Jonathan Lucroy and Blake Lally. Lucroy's was a sac fly. Lally's was a single. Down 3-0 going into the 8th inning. The Brewers scored 3. Segura was a big part of that, and now he's got a chance to end it. The 0-1. And Segura right on the nose, right to Sogard, who makes the play to end the 9th inning. And the Brewers leave them loaded. Extra innings. from Miller Park. All tied at 3. We go to the 10th. Jack Link's beef jerky all season long. Jack Link's beef jerky. Feed your wild side. Well, here we go to the 10th. The Brewers scoring 3 in the 8th to tie it up. But, leaving some runners on in the last 2 innings after they tied it. They have stranded 4. So we play on as John Axford will have the 10th against the Athletics, and he'll have to deal with the heart of their order coming up, 2, 3, and 4.
Yep, a scoreless inning last night against these A's. Gave up a hit, but has been unscored upon over his last 11 appearances. Axford in his 29th game. Earned run average continues to drop for John Axford. Yeah, more strikeouts than innings pitched. Throwing a lot more strikes with that slider as Betancourt takes over at first base. Well, Segura hit that ball right on the nose. A one hopper right at second base. Boy, a little bit either way, this game would have been over. Tough break.
It is a tough break. The Brewers did manage to tie it on a broken bat hit by Ramirez. After that 3-run 8th inning, Segura had a 2 RBI triple, and Ramirez with a 1-out game tire. Oakland is 4-1 in extra innings. The Brewers are 3-3. And Cespedes will lead off for the Athletics, and he is responsible for all 3 runs for the A's tonight. 2-run home run in the first, solo shot in the 6th. 3 for 4 tonight is Cespedes. That's his second 3-hit game of the year. Axford will go into the 8th spot in the batting order. Lucroy is out of the game. Ron Renicky still has Jeff Bianchi and Logan Schaefer available. They only added to their bench yesterday. The 2 moves that were made, they added 2 position players and got rid of only 1 position player and 1 pitcher. So 1 extra body on that bench, and that could prove big tonight.
And 1 extra body on the bench and 1 less out in the bullpen, which could also be an issue tonight. You know, Hand and Badenhop left.
Badenhop pitched last night, as did Hand. Hand went 3 innings last night. So Axford may be called on to give a couple. You see Figueroa down there. He's scheduled to start against the Phillies, and he would certainly be an option if it goes too much further. He checked his swing, and it's 3-1 on Cespedes. Axford a scoreless 9th inning last night. Cespedes, a huge hack, fouls it off of Maldonado at 3-2.
And that one right down the middle. And Cespedes over swinging just a bit. Had a good pitch to hit.
Going through all the choices, finally finds the one he wants. A fastball away. And the 3-2. Cespedes bounces one to Segura. And there is out number one, and a big batter to retire for the Axeman.
And Axford got behind 3-1, and the fastball bailed him out. Able to throw a couple of strikes, kept that one down nicely, and got his ground ball.
So one gone, and here's Jed Lowry, switch hitting shortstop. 1 for 4 tonight. He singled off Loesch in the first inning. Brewers trying to make it a comeback victory against the Oakland A's and do something that has only happened once this year. That's coming back after the A's led after 7. He's about as good as it gets when they have a late lead on a 3-run quick strike by Milwaukee in the 8th. Ball and a strike on Lowry. And it goes to 2-1. As good as the A's have been when they lead after 7 innings, the Brewers have been just as bad when they trail after 7 innings. Only twice have they been able to come back and win a game when they trailed after 7. This would be the 3rd tonight if they can pull this one out. 2-31.
Yeah.
When trailing after 7.
Yeah, not too many late comebacks, but I think a lot of teams can say that. I mean, when you get into that latter part of the bullpen, things become difficult, but Brewers are looking to do it tonight against a very good bullpen.
And Lowry draws the walk, so Axford puts a man on the go-ahead run. And he'll face one of the hottest of the Oakland hitters in Josh Donaldson, who has 2 hits tonight, and he's walked, been on 3 times.
Let's see if Lowry tries to steal a base here. Maldonado, very good throwing arm, but you know, Axford can be slow to home plate.
He lays off a high fastball. Brewers set up to turn 2. That would end the inning and get Milwaukee to the bottom of the 10th, still tied. Oh, that was a knee buckler. Wow.
Yeah.
As a pitcher, you get a reaction like that. That's got to make you feel good.
He's sitting fastball, thinking he's ahead in the count 1-0. Here comes a fastball, and not just one, but both knees buckle.
Donaldson, one of the few hitters in the game today that hits in a bit of a close stance. There's a swing and a miss. Wow, what a cut.
Back-to-back breaking pitch. That last one a slider. Donaldson trying to put 2 runs on the board.
That's a pulling a page out of the Cespedes book right there. So it's 1-2 now. And in the dirt, nice block by Maldonado. Well done. Keeps the double play opportunity alive.
Squares himself nicely, keeps it close, and keeping that go-ahead run at first base.
Big pitch coming. Donaldson has 8 home runs this year. A big bat at the plate. The 2-2 and a swing and a miss. He struck him out. 95-mile-an-hour fastball. Well placed, and Donaldson is out number 2 and Axford's first strikeout.
A couple of breaking balls set this up. A high fastball and right down the chute. And Donaldson way behind it.
Two gone. Here is Josh Reddick. Reddick reached on an infield hit in the 8th inning. That was a base hit against Michael Gonzalez. He hit it sharply. It was a nice play by Francisco at first. Gonzalez didn't cover. And Reddick was able to reach. Takes a big swing, 1-1. Two and one. Well, Josh Reddick, one of the top performers for the A's in their division title run last season. Oftentimes hit third for Oakland. But he's struggled this season. He's hitting 176 coming in. Bob Melvin has dropped him in the order. The 2-1 in the air, center field. Carlos Gomez is there. And Axford with a scoreless 10th inning, all tied at 3. Ryan Braun will lead off. We head to the bottom of the 10th. Braun ready to lead off for Milwaukee. Brewers were down 3-0 and then scored 3 runs in the 8th. So here comes Braun to face Pat Neshek.
talk about an unusual delivery. Neshek is one of those guys that kind of a side armor, has good numbers this year. 24th appearance, 2.21 earned run average. The A's picked him up from the Baltimore Orioles last year. He was actually down in the minor leagues at the time.
Well, Ryan Braun, no doubt, will be asked a ton of questions after the game. The breaking news today, ESPN announcing that there will be suspensions forthcoming for Alex Rodriguez, Ryan Braun, 20 others. And of course, if there's anything coming out of the Brewers clubhouse after the game, we'll have it for you on Brewers Live, and we encourage you to check out Ken Rosenthal's reporting at foxsports.com. It figures to be a very challenging couple of days here, if in fact the reports are true. So far tonight, Braun is 1 out of 4. Not as unorthodox as you can be on the mound, Pat Neshek.
Yeah, very tough for right-handed batters, but lefties probably see him pretty well. You try and follow that arm around, you're going to really mess yourself up. You got to try and figure out where that baseball is going to be coming out. Concentrate on that.
Born in Madison, Wisconsin, Pat Neshek. Three balls and a strike. Hitters count for Braun. And a bouncer to third. That's a fair ball. Throw to first in time. Nice play by Donaldson. This guy's been impressive defensively. And that'll bring up Aramis Ramirez now.
Man, these are the kind of plays you make, and this is what the Oakland A's typically do. A nice bare hand pickup on a couple of hops and a nice throw to first. Yeah, good solid defense, good bullpen work, and that's why they've been so successful in one-run games.
Ramirez takes a strike. Well, you look at Neshek's year last year. Dominated right-handed hitters. Right-handed hitters were just 5 for 53 last year against Neshek.
I can see why. Very tough, very unorthodox, especially when you only see him once. Pitches an inning, maybe gets 3-4 hitters, and you really don't get an opportunity to zero in on him. It'd be different if he was a starter. You see him a couple of times.
He's already given up more hits this year against right-handed batters. The 0-2, and that one's into left field. That's going to get down. Cespedes was playing very deep, and Aramis Ramirez singles. And again, the Brewers have the winning run at first.
You got to see a pinch runner now. And here comes Jeff Bianchi.
So the very fast Jeff Bianchi will run for Ramirez, who will exit with 2 hits in his last 2 at-bats, including the game-tying RBI.
Yeah, 0-1 pitch, and Ramirez able to get one up in the strike zone and hit it hard into left field. There it is, the winning run.
One out, Bianchi at first. And here is Carlos Gomez. Gomez and Neshek were teammates with the Twins. Neshek was born in Madison, but was raised in Minnesota and attended Butler University. Ended up playing for his hometown team, the Twins. A's got him from the Orioles. And a swing and a miss. I beg your pardon, from San Diego.
Now relies on keeping that slider that's pretty flat on the outside corner. He'll sink that fastball down and in on right-handed batters.
Ball and a strike. Gomez tries to bunt.
He's going to try and work you away. You drive it into right center. Much easier said than done, though.
Yeah, just he's a tough guy to elevate one against. Has given up 1 home run this year. That's it. Only 3 last season. And right above the kneecaps.
And sinkers in, sliders away, and nothing really straight or down the middle.
Winning run at first. And Gomez fouls it back. Now, Neshek was last in the big leagues with the Padres before he came to the A's, but actually came from the Orioles. And what a find he was. A 1.37 ERA last season. Gomez on a hop, backhanded by Lowry to second for 1. Throw to first is late. Wow, what a play by Jed Lowry.
Yeah. Able to go back a little bit, able to get a better hop as he went back, and almost able to turn a double play. And the A's coming in about middle of the pack in team defense, but they have flashed the leather in this series. That's a tough hop on the backhand and a good throw to second base.
Gomez hustling down that line. He's been nursing a bit of a hip injury. And you wonder if he's going to be on the move here. Stolen base would be huge in a spot like this with Betancourt at the plate. Gomez is 11 for 14 in stolen base attempts this year.
Neshek very quick to home plate.
And that one's in there for a strike. All tied at 3 in the 10th. If the Brewers don't push a run across, it would be Figueroa, which would put his start in jeopardy in a few days against the Phillies. There goes Gomez, and Betancourt lines one right center. Gomez on his way to third, and they're going to send him. Here comes the throw. Gomez is safe. The Brewers win. With a game winner. Carlos Gomez's mad dash around the bases.
Now that couldn't have worked out any better. Gomez taking off on the pitch. He never slowed down and broke stride, and with the outfield very deep, they had to come in, and by that time too late to get Gomez. Wow, what a win for Milwaukee. Well, there's your third win when trailing by 7 innings.
Down to Sofia with the star of tonight, Uni Betancourt.
All right, Brian, and Uni requested that we do this in Spanish, so Uni, dígame cómo tenías la paciencia en esta situación y cómo sacaste ese hit.
No, sabes, estaba tratando de buscar un buen contacto, ya que llevo días pegándole bien a la bola y un poco sin suerte y tratando de pegarle bien y salió.
He said he was just looking for a good pitch to hit, trying to stay patient at the plate, so he got a little bit lucky with the swingy Uni. Este partido fue bastante difícil. Empezando detrás, tres runs. ¿Cómo tenían la paciencia para ganar este?
No, sabes, yo siempre he confiado en los muchachos del equipo y aunque estemos abajo.
Well, we all knew that one was coming. ¿Necesitas un minuto? All right, well, Uni said he just has trust in his teammates and said that this was a good team win, Brian.
No doubt about it. Thanks, Sophia. Way to go, Uni B. And Carlos Gomez, boy, you cannot teach speed. And the hit and run was on, or maybe the run and hit rock, and in a perfect spot.
Yeah, watch how deep that outfield is, and that's why Gomez was able to score. He takes off on the pitch. Ed Cedar, that's a no-brainer to send him right there and hit not even close at home plate. And when this guy gets going, it's tough to slow him down, bad hit or not, and not even close at home plate.
Well, the Brewers down 3-0 to the A's. Going into the 8th inning, they scored 3 to tie it. They win it in 10 as Carlos Gomez flying around the bags. Yuniesky Betancourt delivers the game winner for the Brewers as we send it out to Craig Kishon. It's time for Brewers Live.
Well, it's about time, isn't it? We're going to get inside a pretty happy Brewer clubhouse here at home. These wins have been few and far between, no doubt about that. But what a way to finish it off, and could it be a kickstart for this team? We will find out. We'll get inside the clubhouse here from Ron Renicky when we come back to Brewers Live here on Fox Sports Wisconsin.